It is your prisonplanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here in this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, the 18th day of February 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, and we are going to be here today, as we are every weekday, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. I am your host, Alex Jones, and our country is being swallowed and colonized by private, fraudulent, Ponzi scheme manipulating systems that are carrying out massive fraud against the American people and the people of the world. And they are establishing a classical police state with an overlay of high-tech control. They're announcing drones to surveil everyone, checkpoints on the highways, billions of bullets, warrantless wiretapping that they denied is now open, secret arrest of citizens, that torture is good, that foreign military runs the Pentagon. Just unbelievable, off-the-chart type stuff is being thrown in our face. And at the same time, the establishment, collaborator, globalist media is running around claiming that none of this is happening, or if it is happening, we're discredited for not liking it. Now, remember, while all of this was being set up, the establishment said none of it was actually happening. Now that it's all being rolled out against us, they're saying it's happening, but that it is a good thing. Now, you'll remember last week a CNN panel said Dorner's alleged murder spree was exciting like a Denzel Washington movie. And on a CNN show called Reliable Sources that routinely attacks yours truly, with the main head of the program being Howard Kurtz, the so-called reporter. We're going to play several clips today of these guys. They say that I have legitimized Dorner as a killer. Now, you know I have been critical of Dorner from day one, and you know this is 180 degrees of what I've actually said. We're going to play this clip coming up. And then I'm going to play CNN on one of their panel shows, one of their pundits actually saying that Dorner's like a superhero, exciting like a Denzel Washington movie. Those are quotes. So they go out and say this and then blame yours truly. And it's the same thing with a whole bunch of publications, not just Atlantic Wire, saying that Infowars.com and Alex Jones said that the United States attacked Russia with kinetic weapons when DA-14 came by, and I believe some of the spurs of the stone meteorite came into the atmosphere. We said the opposite and wrote articles and did video reports saying that it was a hoax. And then it turns out that major publications came out and said that we said the opposite of what we said. There was an AP article, Saturday, that ran in newspapers all over the country and was picked up by Fox News, CNN, you name it, all reported on it, saying that I basically made up 1.6 billion bullets. And they say, well, the conspiracy theorist says this. It's true, sort of, but not really. And then never say I'm wrong or never give the proof. Just list the 1.6+ billion bullets, but just say it's no big deal. Oh, man, that guy got caught lying. You know, he said he saw a red Volkswagen parked in his driveway, and there's the red Volkswagen. Isn't he discredited? You're like, well, but the red Volkswagen is parked there. I know, isn't he discredited? You know, that Alex, he said the sun would come up this morning, and did you see it came up? Man, he's really discredited. I mean, their propaganda has now reached cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs level. I don't even get it. It's so bad. And that's why CNN on average has about 108,000 viewers. Their top shows on average have about 500,000, like Piers Morgan, just because of the time slot it's in. Just about 12, 13, 14 years ago, you can look it up, Larry King had 10 million viewers on many nights. 10 million. 10 million viewers. And now they have 500,000. And so just keep it up, guys. Keep it up saying Alex Jones supports Dorner. We're going to play that clip. Alex Jones says the U.S. attacked Russia with a meteorite or some kind of kinetic weapon. Never said that. Said the Russian government, some of their members of their parliament were saying it, of their Duma, and I thought it was not true, and I thought it was a piece of a stone meteorite. And more pieces have come in over Florida, California, Cuba. I guess that's the same chunk they saw in southern Florida, and a bunch of other places. And now California. Did I already say California? And I predicted you'd have spurs around it because that's standard for a big asteroid. And I said I believe this is all natural and normal. And I'm clear, and no one in my staff wrote an article. No one in the crew wrote an article saying it was a conspiracy theory. We wrote articles picked up by drudgereport.com, which then got picked up by the site Zeit, because it was one of the top stories in the country that day. They follow trends. And CNN actually linked to it and then demonized it and said, look, Alex Jones, that's another CNN I forgot. I saw that clip last night. I forgot to even send it to the guys. I can't even keep track of this anymore. I mean, it's MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, Fox News demonizing yours truly. Saying things about us that aren't true. Now, I've got all this world news, how the mega banks are engineering the collapse, how we can get out of this, how Obamacare is meant to bankrupt people, how the payroll taxes have gone up on the poor, how Obama broke his promises, how he wouldn't raise our payroll taxes, on and on and on. All of this is going on. And it really freaks me out. I'm going to be honest with you, that I'm just here who's studied history, studied the globalists, read their own publications. I know their plan. It's public. They operate like you don't exist, and they put it all in publications, but they're all thick, lengthy Foreign Affairs and Club of Rome and Princeton and MIT and Davos papers, EU papers, British Ministry of Defense papers, Pentagon papers, Rand Corporation papers, and I read this stuff, and it's just all public. How they put poison in the water, how they put it in the food, how they want to feminize men, how they're giving us cancer, how they're going to break up the family, how they're going to have 3 mega regions. And I just can't take it anymore. I mean, it really gets to me, folks. And I get really stressed out because I have all these brainstorms, and I want to get up here on air and warn you. And then I get up here and I spend most of my time, I'm not complaining, it's the nature of it, just trying to run my operation and manage everything. And I got a great crew who puts up with my crap. And it's just so real for me. Okay? I mean, I can't go to a place and eat, chicken wings and drink beer and have a good time anymore, most of the time. I can't unplug from this because I know there's a scientific technocracy that's published thousands of times what they're doing to me and you. And I read stuff they wrote 100 years ago and 50 years ago and 20 years ago and 5 years ago and a week ago, all admitting what they're doing to us. And it's a fact. It isn't my opinion. And they think you're so stupid. Maybe they know something I don't know. I don't think you're that dumb that they get up there and say, we said the meteor was the U.S. government. And we made up 1.6 billion bullets, but I told the truth. He's a kook, but it's true, but it's a kook. And I'm saying Dorner's a hero. I mean, this is sick. This is sick. And what's happened is people wonder how Nazi Germany could get so crazy, or how Soviet Russia could get so crazy, or Maoist China, or Pol Pot's Cambodia. And it's done by increments, what we'll put up with. The corrupt, the insane, the out of control get us to put up with more and more. And now they're like, yeah, we torture people. Yeah, we'll secretly arrest you. Yeah, we're running checkpoints. Yeah, we're going to legalize all the illegals. Yeah, we give $85 billion a month in just one form of payment to foreign banks who then just destroy the money. They just they're not even paying off their debts. They just want to hurt us. And they just take the money and then disappear it. It's not even used to prop up their own derivatives. That's already been written off by them. And they want to make us poor. And here's where they said it. And, you know, Maurice Strong, A Post-Industrial World, Al Gore, you know, CNN, depression is good for the earth because it lowers the carbon footprint. Austerity is a good thing, except for them. And it's so frustrating that they'll sit there on CNN and say Dorner's a superhero because he's an anti-gun person and an Obama supporter, and then they'll spin it back around the next day. This is Friday, and Watson just found the clip. It's going up at Infowars.com, and it really freaks me out. Not that they're even going after me. The fact that they're trying to discredit me right now, first they ignore you, then they attack you, then you win. Of course, that's sometimes. First they ignore you, then they attack you, then they assassinate you. They're trying to assassinate my character, and if that doesn't work, folks, they will set me up. But don't think I lose in that, okay? I win by engaging the enemy. But just understand, these are dirtbags, okay? These are people who work for foreign megabanks who want to destroy this country and our future and disarm you and take your pension funds. And by the way, that's being announced now. And they are sitting there cold-bloodedly put on these shows because they will make outlandish statements like I support and am helping Chris Dorner kill people. I'm going to play that clip coming up. That's how stupid they think you are. And let me tell you something. The media whores, the globalist prostitutes over at CNN, let me explain something to you. Your butt's hanging out in clear view of everybody, okay? This show that did this has a couple 100,000 viewers, a literal shadow of its former self, because only the dumbest of the dumb are watching you and believing you. And I guess that's why you've tailored it down to them, saying Alex Jones is helping Chris Dorner. Alex Jones is creating a climate like this. This guy was a statist, out of control Obama worshiper, and you say I spawned him? We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. The establishment media always likes to phrase socialist and collectivist as the renegades, but in truth, the mega-rich in the last 150 years have always funded, on record, the socialists to be the renegades, to collectivize wealth, to make sure there's a big centralized government that can easily be bought off and controlled. Generally because the globalists finance the revolution, and then if the centralized government doesn't play ball, they can simply pay off officers of the system under that dictator to take them out. And that's why the globalists favor a centralized authoritarian system. And that's what Carroll Quigley wrote in his seminal 1,100-plus page book, Tragedy and Hope, while at Georgetown working for the Council on Foreign Relations and the Bilderberg Group. By the way, we sell the book at InfoWarsShop.com if you're a reader and actually want to read how things work, how their plan was to make the left and right look different each election, but in the outcome there be very little difference, so they own both candidates. Okay, let's stop right there. If you notice up at DrudgeReport.com right now, it talks about massive increases in the price of gas in the last 32 days. It's been rising straight, 51 cents on average nationally, 2 months in a row. And the question is, why is this happening? The dollar is being devalued. That's why 15 years ago, fuel was, what, less than $1 a gallon. And now, on average, it's almost $4. Some areas, it's as much as $5.99. If you also look at DrudgeReport.com, everybody's favorite news site, right in the middle column, red linked, Homeland Security advances plan for public safety drones. And that is one of our top stories I'm going to get to after media demonization in the next segment. And it's simply Paul Watson writing about Homeland Security announcing what we wrote about a year ago. What was it? Actually, back in February of last year, we shoot another story on this. We wrote about Homeland Security announcing the plan to launch 30,000 drones in the FAA, $46 million of funding by the year 2020, phasing them in starting in 2013. and how they were already using drones to arrest cattle rustlers in North Dakota and using drones to surveil coal power plants and other things. And so we wrote an article, Kurt Nimmo wrote an article, so did Paul, and the media came out and said, there is no drones, there are no drones, Alex Jones is insane. Of course, it's always Alex Jones is insane. Or Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist making this up. It was Kurt Nimmo and Paul Watson just writing off the Federal Register and announcements. I mean, that's where we go get the news. Okay, let's go see how many more 100 million bullets they bought. Okay, they bought another 100 million 2 days ago. We missed that. We'll write an article. You know, I mean, this is not rocket science. And then they come out and say it doesn't exist. And the reason I'm covering this is on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe 5, 6 years ago, it was about a 2. Now the attacks are at about a 9. Every day, what they call the mainstream news, the media whores reading off teleprompters, get more crazy. And I predicted this last week. I said, they will blame us for Dorner somehow, and they will say that we are conspiracy theorists, just using that term. That we are conspiracy theorists for saying that the police said, burn that mother effer down, burn that house down. Okay, we placed the burners. Okay, they're on fire. We have a fire. Good, mission completed. Those are quotes. Mission completed. Okay, we have the burners. We placed them. We've ignited them. They're on fire. We have fire. There is a fire. The walls are collapsing. Mission accomplished. That's the full quote. Mike Adams had an article over the weekend at naturalnews.com saying, how do you know if you're in a trance or not? And it's a test. You watch this video, you hear them say all this, 6 different videos now saying similar things, and the media tells you you didn't just hear them burn it down. I mean, this has reached total, complete delusional levels. And sure enough, they've come out and said they didn't burn it down and that I made it up, and that aids Dorner. We're going to play that clip coming back in the next segment. And then we'll get into all the other news. But this is the type of over-the-top bizarreness that we're talking about. And the thing is, it's getting worse. And people that are acclimated and have gotten where they accept it, they'll buy anything now. They'll go along with anything. It's incredible. I mean, it's like telling a 3-year-old Santa Claus exists and they believe it because they trust you. But you see, there's less and less people that trust CNN and MSNBC, which are absolute merchants of deception. And they think you're idiots. We're going to play those clips when we come back. Stay with us. All right, Alex Jones here, back live. Thank you for joining us. So Lauren Ashburn of the Daily Beast is on CNN, and she says, well, you know what? The problem here is what's backing up and making Dorner a hero is not CNN 2 days before on Wednesday. This was Friday. One of their pundits saying, the guy's turning into a hero. We're going to play that clip in a moment. No, this woman from the Daily Beast, where Buzz Bissinger comes from, I guess that's a division of Newsweek, isn't it? Yeah, and he's over at BuzzFeed. He contributes to them, saying I should be shot on Piers Morgan. And then the daughter of Ambassador Huntsman agrees and says, ooh, Piers, you can wear a uniform, baby. And he's like, ooh, yeah, I will. I mean, what a bunch of weirdos. Somebody says, we ought to shoot Alex Jones. Yeah. You could wear a uniform, Piers. Yeah, I could. I mean, what weirdo. Who has that on the top of their mind? Yeah, you could wear it. See, they get off on the power of the state, putting on the power of the state. These are statists. These are sickos. The last thing, if I was talking about killing somebody, I'd do is A, talk about killing somebody, and B, I wouldn't say, I'll wear a uniform to do it. If I'm going to kill somebody, I'm going to wear the uniform of righteousness and self-defense, and it's not something that I'm happy I have to do. But I will do it with as much proficiency as I can, and I certainly am not going to talk about it, Buzz Bissinger, but that's because you don't have the will to kill people. You want the police and military to go out and bring in your tyranny and do it for you, the useful idiot of the New World Order. You better hope the New World Order doesn't come in, you little Prozac head. He admits he's on a bunch of psychotropics and says he's mentally ill now to defend himself while he wanted to be killed. See, he's so crazy, he doesn't want anybody else to have guns because he's so neurotic and weird, he doesn't have any control. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. So I've got AP, I've got Atlantic Wire, I'm a conspiracy theorist about the bullets. Not that they're buying them, I'm just still bad to be worried about it. The arms built up. And I said that the U.S. attacked Russia. I didn't say that. I said that that was a conspiracy theory and made up, and it looked like a stone meteorite to me. We wrote articles clearly debunking it. Doesn't matter, just say we did it. Continuing, we've got CNN saying I supported Dorner, and I'm helping make him a folk hero. We're going to play that in a minute. While they're the ones 2 days before actually saying that. And the guy is an Obama supporter on record who believes only the government should have guns, but he's out kidnapping and killing people. And the problem is we'll never know if that's 100% true, even though it looks like it's a real story, because who would come up with something like that that discredits the system? You can tell when something's scripted. They have the script day one. This script was all over the place. A lot of other points, but they burned him alive and said they'd burn him, and so I'm aiding him because my lying ears and lying eyes saw them and heard them say they burn it down. See, common sense is the enemy. It's like Rod Serling wrote that Twilight Zone episode, The Obsolete Man, and they call him in, and the guy's a librarian. They're getting rid of books. That's what, and getting rid of knowledge. That's what centralized systems always do in their final phase is logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. And that's what Rod Serling wrote, and it's true. I remember watching The Obsolete Man when I was a little kid in Dallas. They had reruns on TV. And it's, Rod Serling fought in World War II. He was a commando. And he was a patriot. He was anti-tyrant. Now I've gone back and pulled up old news articles with Rod Serling criticizing tyranny in the U.S. Just a great guy before he died of lung cancer. And he saw coming a million miles away what I saw 1,000 miles away. What I saw 20 years ago and got involved politically and got on air 17 years ago in 1995, now I guess a little more than 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, Rod Serling saw it a million miles away, but I guess not really because he'd been in the middle of it and experienced it in Europe, like my grandfather did. And then I saw the tyranny 1,000 miles away, and now the tyranny is in our living room. And it's sitting on us. And people are like, well, I can learn to let it sit on me. Folks, it's not going to sit on you forever. It's going to eat you like a cave troll eats a hobbit. Like a piece of mutton. We've got to get these people back in the box. We've got to get control of the situation. We've got to get them to back down and back off. Because I'm here to tell you, I've studied tyrants, I've studied history. They're not going to make it. They're not going to get this done the way they want. Okay? 9 times out of 10, tyrannies end up taking over, but then wanting to dominate everything. The same control freak instinct that got them into power is what undoes them. Because now they're in power, they should just sit back and lay back. But see, they don't want to do that. They want control of everything. They want to impoverish people because it makes them feel good. They don't want the wealth just to be comfortable and to be able to do cool things and create things and help others and see their ideas manifest. That's what's fun about wealth. If you're a good person, they use wealth as a tool of control, and they don't like seeing you having it. Intellectual wealth, physical health wealth, spiritual wealth, sexual wealth. They don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like it. Sleeping Beauty, the evil queen, the witch queen up on the mountaintops, got her own palace, her own servants, but she's unhappy. And she doesn't like watching the little happy kingdom down the hill in the valley with all the happy people and all the good things. It sounds like nails on a chalkboard to her. And so she comes down there to sow poison and to sow pain and to put the spirit of liberty and the spirit of ingenuity and the spirit of renewal into a deep sleep. But it takes a prince who's willing to ride into the dark forest and face the dangers to kiss beauty, to kiss liberty, and to reaffirm the covenant and to release the spirit of creation. God is there waiting, but God is not like the destroyer, the devil, the deceiver. God gives us free will. We have to choose. We have to choose to hear the voice. And then we have to go on the quest. See, all the children's fables and parables are actually allegories to real life. You must first conquer yourself, and then you must conquer the New World Order. The entire Bible, but all cultural history is about the individual who is good, not wanting to stand up, not wanting power, but having to stand up and having to take power from the evil to defeat it. And that's where we stand. We've got to get up off the couch, get off the porch, move over, little dog, the big dog's coming to town. In fact, we have that Hank Williams song somewhere. Can we come back out of the next break playing Move Over, Little Dog, Big Dog? I forget the name of the actual song. We've actually got it in the computer. But we have to realize we're the big dog, and we have to act like the big dog, because the little dog knows he's the little dog, and he doesn't like a big dog. And you're like, well, I'll let the little dog run things. Little dog don't want you to just sit there. Little dog wants you dead. Little dog wants to run you off a cliff. Little dog isn't going to sit there looking at you much better than him. Little dog wants you dead. You get that straight? Big dog got to act like big dog. Big dog got to be big dog. Or big dog going to be dead dog. You got that? Move over, little dog. Big dog's coming in. It's either big dog or it's tyranny under little dog. You either be the big dog or you live under little dog. And little dog wants to do one thing, piss on you all day. Excuse me, I just only wanted to break that down, ladies and gentlemen. Does it make sense? Can I hear an amen out there? All right. All right, listen, it's a real sign of desperation that CNN, and again, I don't normally, we're in the news every day, newspapers, TV, but maybe 1 out of 20 times I actually cover stuff. The website covers stuff about half the time, but I rarely cover things about us. By rarely, it's pretty much every couple of days, but it's rare 1 out of 20 times or so to cover it. It's just coming to such a head right now. It's coming to such a head right now that we know we're hurting them bad. And we know CNN and MSNBC are official White House mouthpieces, so is Media Matters, and they are just savaging yours truly. They're savaging things like DrudgeReport.com because they know that's what's hitting them. They know out of the whole spectrum of resistance that what's really finding the chink in the armor, what's really finding the missing scales on the belly of this snake are people that just call it like it is. You're a bunch of paramilitary thugs, wannabe thugs, trying to get our military and police to act like that, a bunch of globalists trying to conquer us, and the fact that my talking points, which are just the truth, the historical prima facie open truth, are now making their way into other publications, other talk shows. Paul Craig Roberts had an article last week about it. It already happened here. The tyranny did come here. He had another article out today with America, a colonized country by the globalists, by the mega banks. And again, it's not just Paul Craig Roberts. It's hundreds of other shows I run into on talk radio. It's media. I mean, really, people are starting to get it. I hear people in restaurants talking who don't even know who I am about, it's the mega rich that are actually trying to shut things down to take over and consolidate it. I'm starting to hear that all over the place. And it's game over for the occupiers when people figure out, hey, why are we paying $85 billion to foreign banks, not even our debt every month, but then we're being told we got to raise our taxes to pay off debt that isn't ours? As soon as that begins to happen, it's game over, folks. And as soon as people don't believe the system anymore, it won't matter if the globalists nuke a city and say patriots did it. No one's going to buy it. No one's going to line up and go along with it. See, they're losing their hoax power. And they're listening right now. This is freaking them out that we know they're killers. We know they staged Fast and Furious. We know they staged other events. We know they're running Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria. We know they killed the ambassador to cover up the missile shipments. We know, and they're like, what do we do? This crazy Texan will just tell it like it is. He doesn't care if we kill him. The truth is, I absolutely do care. I don't want to die. I love life so much. It's just, but I'm a lot more concerned about you guys winning and hurting a lot of innocent people than I am about my own life. But that's why I get so angry at you. And that's why I'm asking listeners to get angry at these people. These are usurper criminals running all over us in our face, and they're a joke, they're a fraud. Now let's start going to these clips. Here's the first one. CNN pundit says Alex Jones turned Dorner into a hero. And they're talking about the piece 2 days before where one of their pundits, CNN panel, Dorner's alleged murder spree, exciting like Denzel Washington movie. They're saying, he was wrong to say that. So they're backtracking, and then they spin it and go, well, it's Alex Jones saying they burned him up. He's the one making Dorner a hero. All I'm doing is hearing 6 different tapes, different feeds, different tapes. We've played 3 or 4 of them. We've got to play all 6. Where they're like, burn that house down. Burn down the house. Okay, bring the fire. Okay, we've got the burners. Okay, they're in place. Okay, there is fire. Okay, walls collapsing. Mission complete. I mean, that'd be like if Humvees were pulling up to a house shooting and they said, swing those 50s around, take out that house, take out those shooters. And you think they kill the shooters and then go, we didn't shoot anybody. You're like, what are you talking about? I mean, it'd be like if they said shotgun formation and called out the plays and you saw the shotgun formation. You didn't just see a shotgun formation. I mean, they talk to you. I know I keep marveling about this. I just, it's so amazing. And to know that I predicted it, not because it's hard. It's so elementary how they attack because they know their audience. Only the dumbest of the dumb. Suspended disbelief, rubes, suckers, idiots, morons, smucks, marks, fools, twits. What's other words for just totally stupid, gullible, useful idiots, willfully ignorant, pathetic losers, begging to be conned? I just don't understand the religion of being conned and reveling in your ignorance. Let's go to the clip. What's this idiot's name again? You remember everything, CJ. Yeah, Lauren Ashburn. It's Professor, no. We're not going to pay Professor Mark Lamont first. We're going to play CNN pundits say Alex Jones turned Dorner into a hero. Okay, let's go ahead and play that clip right now.
But just briefly, well, Kelly, I've got a half a minute. Do we in the media, are we giving too much attention to his views when he is a mass murderer?
Look, I believe that the media always gives too much attention to the criminals and not enough attention to the victims. I mean, how many of us can actually say the full first and last names of the people that were victims of this man? And that's a tragedy, and I think that's the failure of the media. But the thing I will say that I think is a larger story here, Howard, is that these types of stories really feed into the sort of paranoia of the fringe right, of the people of the Alex Jones of the world. When you have this whole debate about the audio that I know that has been covered about whether or not the LAPD had planned to burn this man out. And unfortunately, that's what sort of gives credence to people to say, aha, see, I told you so. The mainstream media and the LAPD, they're not giving us the full information. That's what gives credence and credibility and makes heroes out of people like Chris Dorner. That's the tragedy of the way this was covered, I believe.
All right, Kelly Goff and Will Kane. Very lively discussion this morning.
Yeah, that's Kelly Goff saying that. So the fact that my lying eyes and lying ears saw and heard them over and over again say, burn him up, burn the house down, and then they do it. And their answer is, listen, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're helping Dorner. When it's CNN, another panel with the Daily Beast people, saying things like this. Let's go ahead and go to the clip from 2 days earlier on CNN. Chris Dorner is like watching Django Getting Revenge or Denzel Washington movie. Here it is.
There's no waste here, though. I mean, this has been an important public conversation that we've had about police brutality, about police corruption, about state violence. I mean, there were even talks about making him the first domestic drone target. I mean, this is serious business here. I don't think it's been a waste of time at all. And as far as Dorner himself goes, he's been like a real-life superhero to many people. Now, don't get me wrong. What he did was awful. Killing innocent people is bad. But when you read his manifesto, when you read the message that he left, he wasn't entirely crazy. He had a plan and a mission here, and many people aren't rooting for him to kill innocent people. They're rooting for somebody.
You know what? Yeah, they're rooting for somebody they see is going after corruption, is what he went on to say. You can see the video up at Infowars.com. But the point is that if you see a cop beat somebody and then you criticize it and get fired, that's wrong. Sue, go to the media, whatever. Didn't do any of that. If you believe the official story. And then you go out and you shoot somebody's daughter that's not even in the police force to get at them. Man, that's as low as it gets. And I got criticized, massive criticism, not really from our audience, but some of the YouTube people and others, where like, how dare you side with the pigs and things like that. You know, I don't just demonize a whole group and say they're pigs. I demonize bad behavior because it demonizes itself. And The system wants a divide and conquer. They want the police against the people and the people against the police. They don't want us waking the police up. They want to have this civil war. But just because he was an Obama supporter, then it's okay to kill cops. I guarantee you, if one of my listeners killed cops, well, they tried to blame me before. When some guy who hated me, some white supremacist, killed cops up in Pittsburgh, within hours of the shooting, they blamed me, and it turned out the guy hated me, and within 2 hours of having his computer, they said, well, he visited InfoWars. It was Alex Jones's fault. Again, why do they want to frame me? Why do they want to set us up? More of these clips straight ahead. We'll get into DHS advances plan for public safety drones. We are back live. There's Hank Williams, the legend.
This doghouse here is mighty small, but it's better than...
Doghouse, that's one of the new houses in San Francisco or New York where they're going to tax you at such a rate you can only live in a doghouse-size Gen 21 home. I want to get to this other clip. I never played this because I didn't see it. You know, there were literally probably 30, 40 shows on CNN alone where over and over again they demonized me after Piers Morgan. But the same show... reliable disinformation, reliable fraud, reliable sources by Howard Kurtz. He's the main host and I guess producer of the show, the head honcho. They played clips of where I'd been on Piers Morgan and then went on to imply, oh, I'm discrediting. We shouldn't even have people like him on. But it's discrediting and he doesn't represent the gun owners. Why would they have me back on if it's so discrediting? The truth is that it discredited them and just said, look, you want the guns. Stop saying you don't want them. And it shows, though, how they're all about dictating reality. They say what's credible. They control the strictures of reality. They sit on the mountain like Moses, and they give out the law. And then CNN said Alex Jones is a kook and a 9/11 truther. All I ever pointed out is NORAD stood down, and the government brought the al-Qaeda members in and protected them, and that was in mainstream news, just like they run al-Qaeda today. I said that 9/11's being used to take the public's rights, not to fight al-Qaeda. That's what I said. But let's go ahead and play the same reliable sources that says that I'm promoting Dorner. Total lie. You know it's a lie. They don't source anything. They just lie to you, thinking you're stupid. Here they are yet again. And so we're discrediting these fraudsters. Here it is.
How did Piers Morgan handle Alex Jones?
Badly. The question really is did anyone at CNN or on Piers Morgan's show ever see or hear Alex Jones before they booked him on the show?
Why do you say badly? He let him have his say, and Alex Jones, all his views were on display.
He got steamrolled. Piers Morgan thought he was going to have an Oxford debating style debate about gun control.
You really think so?
Well, he kept saying it on the air, as a matter of fact. And Alex Jones doesn't play by those rules.
Piers Morgan always interrupts.
Alex Jones is a monologist. He will go on and on and on.
Right, but what Piers Morgan said, he was interviewed on CBS.
Yeah, monologuing on your lies.
He says that you expose the ridiculousness, in his view, he's an advocate on this issue of gun control, the ridiculousness of people like Alex Jones by putting them on the air, letting them rant and rave. He said, you know, this has been viewed 5 million times on YouTube. It certainly has gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's right, and it's been great for Alex Jones. I'm sure that his ratings on his radio show will go up tremendously as a result of it.
Not really.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Can I disagree a little bit? I actually would say that if you're examining this as a contest between who got to say more words, then yes, Alex Jones won. If you're examining this as a contest between who came across looking more sane, then Piers Morgan won. And I have to say I've heard from a lot of people who aren't Piers Morgan fans, who never thought he was sane before, who say begrudgingly, like, I'm mad at Alex Jones because he made me have to defend and like and cheer for Piers Morgan.
All right, that's enough.
Once.
That's good. We're going to play more of it later after I get into the main news and take your calls. There's a bunch of other news, but they tried to put that spin out. This discredits them, but then now they don't want to air the clips anymore. They don't want to have me on because I called their bluff. Our forebears went and shot and killed people that tried to take their guns. They rode down the street saying, get your guns, start killing people. Now, I get up there and I say, hey, you want our guns, don't lie. They've introduced all the legislation. Stop lying. You want the guns. I'm like Paul Revere, but Paul Revere totally wimpy. Not saying kill people. I'm like, hey, wake up, you're a fraud. It did wake people up. Now we're winning the gun debate. That's a big part of it, calling it like it is. Well, you got to love CNN and reliable sources. That's like saying P.T. Barnum's a reliable source, or Bernie Madoff, or Ken Lay, or Ponzi. or Ted Bundy. Reliable sources says that it's a conspiracy theory. The police didn't burn down Dorner's cabin. And it supports Dorner to say they did. That's good psychology. You're a cop killer. You support a cop killer if you don't buy known liars. You know, I've been saying this forever, and now here it is, the London Guardian. Guantanamo trials plunge into deeper discord as confidence in court wanes. These are kangaroo courts that aren't real courts, and the U.S. military is preventing a real defense, even on top of that, in the kangaroo court. Amazing. And they've got a bunch of drugged-up puppets in there who had nothing to do with 9/11. People like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who confessed to bombing buildings that weren't built till 4 years after he was arrested. That guy was in custody like 8 years before he started confessing. And they bragged, yeah, and we brought his kids in to torture him. He finally broke and said he'd say whatever we wanted. And again, I think you're so dumb. Yeah, we brought his kids in to torture him. He's got little kids, and he got so freaked out, he said he'd say whatever we wanted. They put that in the newspaper like, oh, good, we got that terrorist, yeah. You're like, yeah, Alex Jones admitted to whatever the crimes are, or we execute him. Yeah, we threatened to torture his kids, and he did it. We're the good guys, by the way. People, I guess some people are so dumbed down, they're like, well, don't you torture? I mean, don't the good guys torture? Scientists create 6-sense brain implant to detect infrared light with rats. We're going to be getting into all that. That's just some of what we've got here. I haven't even gotten into this. This is really old news for our audience. But I mean, again, it's not about, oh, we're in the news. It's about, look at how they lie. Remember last year? Well, there's no plan to launch drones domestically and surveil you. Man, that Infowars.com and that kook Matt Drudge at DrudgeReport.com carrying that filthy tabloid trash of Infowars. Man, they're lying to you about bullets and about drones and checkpoints and TSA. We'd never do that to you. There's no way we'd do that. How dare them? And now they're in the news announcing it again, and we're saying we don't like it. How dare you, you crazy person? None of that exists. Why don't you tell us more lies? How meteorites were fired by America at Russia, you conspiracy theorist. What does the Atlantic Wire say? Our executive analysis is Alex Jones will be Alex Jones. There he goes again saying America fired the meteorite. I mean, what a kook. Readers, aren't you glad you read the Atlantic Wire where we tell you the truth? You know, we lie and make stuff up because we think you're so stupid. I guess the Atlantic Wire will be the Atlantic Wire. I mean, how do they get away with this stuff? I guess they've got readers that like to read, kind of college educated, you know, they're with their little computer in the morning having tea before they go subscribe Ritalin and Prozac to 300 kids, you know, sitting there, psychologists. Oh, look at the crazy. He thinks they're getting bullets. Oh, he said they fired a meteor at Russia. He thinks torture's wrong. Oh, what a kook. Like that article they had in the Chronicle last week. It was a letter to the editor they published, and it was, you know, Alex Jones puts his magazine free out at businesses, and what's shocking is the magazines are actually staying there now 6 months. You know, they've been accepting them 6 different issues, and you know, he'll say we're conspiracy, you know, government wants to take his rights away, but we don't need to have his magazine on the streets, though. What's next? Obama wants your free speech, you kook? Yes, we think you shouldn't be able to publish that, and we think it should be taken off the streets, but you're also conspiracy theorists for thinking we're authoritarians. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now into hour number 2. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go over some of our top stories and then give the number out and take your calls. Some of the headlines at Infowars.com. We've got to defend ourselves. CNN pundit Alex Jones made Chris Dorner a hero. You have heard us from day one say that if he indeed did this, he is a monster of the highest order. You never target people's families as supposedly retribution for a cop beating somebody up. 2 wrongs don't make a right. You don't go kill people's children. Media blames Alex Jones for meteor conspiracy theories. You know, we don't normally cover ourselves. Even when the Piers Morgan thing happened, we didn't talk about it that much. We've been forced now. They're saying we said the U.S. government attacked Russia, Atlantic Wire and others. Just incredible fabrications. My entire crew, none of my writers, everyone, who said it was a stone meteorite fragment from DA-14. More of them have been seen coming over California, Florida, Australia, you name it, Cuba. We're on record. Many of you heard the show Friday. There's full archives of it in the podcast, video archives at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv, YouTube. I mean, at a certain point, I'm not really a litigious person, but, you know, to sue CNN for saying I made Dorner a hero and that I'm supporting Dorner when I said the opposite. I mean, at a certain point, you've got to illustrate what they're doing is defamatory. And they're doing this desperately now. I mean, I'm getting attacked by CNN every couple days, and it's always whole cloth made up. So they're saying, AP's basically saying I'm making up the 1.6 billion bullets, but then admitting it's true. And then that's been circulated in literally hundreds of newspapers conservatively, and on Fox News has covered it. This is all the last 3 days. They're saying, I support Dorner. You know that's a fraud, total fraud. Of course, they don't play a clip either. That's always a telltale sign. People say something but don't show proof. If I say Obama promised not to raise any taxes under $250,000, no payroll tax, whatever, I have the clip. In fact, I want to play that again later. Will you cue that up, please? Thank you. If I say that Dianne Feinstein said that if she could have all the guns banned, Mr. and Mrs. America turn them in, I play the clip. You know, if I say that the White House science czar said something, I tell you what book he said it in, Eco-Science. Said, you know, put sterilants in the water. See, you go to an Infowars.com article or a PrisonPlanet.com article, it's neurotically filled with links and videos. Neurotically. When you look at New York Times, CNN, do you ever see links? Almost never. They just tell you Alex Jones, and this, by the way, was on CNN too, CNN, Atlantic Wire, a bunch of other publications, that I said the U.S. government attacked Russia with a meteorite or a kinetic weapon. Where did I say this? Didn't. Put articles out saying that was disinformation. They say I said that. And again, it isn't about Alex Jones. They know that we represent what's left of America. We understand the globalists. We know their game plan. We have millions of listeners. We're growing exponentially. They want to assassinate our character with the average Sally soccer mom, that's who watches CNN, on average about 108,000 viewers, total shadow of itself, but still it has authority with some bumpkins. And they also take CNN clips, and the derivatives of it actually get seen on other shows. So that's where their real audience is, and online. Their YouTube audience, their web audience is probably bigger than their TV audience. Yeah, we'll play that Obama clip in a minute. Not yet. Thanks. And so all of this is going on, and remember last year they said there is no plan for DHS to launch drones. Infowars.com, Kurt Nimmo, Matt Drudge of DrudgeReport.com. This is last year. In fact, I was telling this two articles on this morning. Paul Watson did one. DHS advances plan for public safety drones. That's a quote. And we're linked to the Homeland Security's press release. I hit the wrong button. Let's go back to InfoWars. It's linked to their statements, okay? Now, last year we said this, but it got picked up in the news. A lot of farming associations got concerned because they were surveilling farmers. And so they ran hoax articles saying, again, as we first reported last July, and then there's the link to it, and they came out and said we were making it up, it didn't exist, even though we were sourced. Okay, so Wired Magazine's reporting it, and of course they're linked to the government announcement, and DHS is announcing it, the Federal Aviation Administration is announcing it, we have links to all of that, but guaranteed, look in the next week, because this story's going big right now, that they'll come out and say, I'm crazy, there are no drones. And you may see one fly over your house. You didn't see that. Just like black helicopters. People would call me when I first got on air in 95, 96 and say, man, they're doing urban warfare drills down the street from my house. I have footage. And they'd send me footage, and I'd put it on my local cable show, and the local paper would call up and say, you claim there's black helicopters. You claim you have footage. And I'd go meet with the newspaper reporter, go, here's the footage, here's the town, here's even the local newspaper reporting on it. And they write an article saying Jones is completely insane, it doesn't exist. Remember the New York Times 4 years ago at Bilderberg covering Hillary and Obama there, showing footage of the Secret Service? All of it. Later admitted they were there. Years later, they admitted it. The New York Times came out and said that I was having a full-on schizophrenic event. It was in a New World Order film review for the film New World Order that aired on the Independent Film Channel that covered it. And they imply in the film that, well, was there people meeting there, that shows the red carpet, the national anthems being played. I mean, we hid in the hotel and got thrown out and shot the world leaders arriving. And the New York Times said I was in the forest by a Marriott having a full-on schizophrenic event imagining black sedans. Now, folks, that's how dumb the New York Times thinks you are. And I know I'm off on a jag on this today, but you have to understand this propaganda is targeting the part of the population that is in a full-on, mind-numbed medical trance. And it's mainly intelligentsia yuppies that think they're real smart and have a couple college degrees and bag groceries at the local store because they can't get a job in the globalist economy. But they can sure go to the local coffee shop and drink tea and read the newspaper on their iPad and make fun of me. Because I've been around them, I've seen it. And it's all about, you think the drones are getting me? You think the government's evil? Well, I know they just secretly arrest and torture people and are taking down all these countries and putting Al-Qaeda in them to blow up all the churches and synagogues and engage in ethnic cleansing of the blacks and all this stuff. And, you know, yeah, I mean, the government's pretty darn bad. I mean, look at all the things they're doing. $85 billion in taxpayer money given to foreign banks every month. I mean, you know, we're on the road to collapse. They're like, sure we are. Oh, I bet you're hiding. I bet you're scared. And I'm like, well, actually, I'm not. All right, look, I'm going to give the number out to take your phone calls. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, and we'll get you up and on the air here today. What's happening is it's like I own a restaurant, hypothetically, and my restaurant's got better food. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's better than the rat-dropping, filled, asbestos-lined, rotting hulk with roaches walking around at high noon on the countertops. That's CNN, that's MSNBC. Imploding, a joke, discredited, race pimping, total frauds, globalists run it. And in my restaurant, it's got the parking lot full. And so they're parading around telling people there's rat droppings in my food, but everybody's going inside and not finding rat droppings, and they all know that the real rat droppings and the mouse traps on the counter are across the street. And that's what you'd expect from people that are going under the water, people that are about to drown, people that are falling apart, people that are complete scams and hoaxes and frauds. And that's what you get out of them, a rotting facade, a scam. And so the fact that they're going into pure lying shows you that they're going beneath the waves. But it doesn't matter. They still control the government. They still control the false flag events. They could still stage more Fast and Furious to blame the Second Amendment. They are very, very dangerous. 800-259-9231. We're going to first-time callers, by the way. I want to give first-time callers a chance to get involved on air. I should add that, 800-259-9231. A few of our regular callers got through. That's fine if they're the first on the board, but I want first-time callers right now, ladies and gentlemen, to give them a chance to join us here on air. And I've got big economic news. I've got Guantanamo fake trial news. I've got just a lot of other important news we're going to be getting into today. And we have a sheriff joining us who's been on Piers Morgan, and he's there in the county that Milwaukee's in. And I want to get him on. In fact, there's so many clips of him. He was on most of the hour with Piers Morgan. I want to find the clip where the mayor of Milwaukee's on going, you can't comment. You don't respond to real events at homes. And the sheriff goes, well, of course I do in the county, but not in the city. The mayor says, you can't respond. This is how they deceive. And Piers Morgan's smiling while the mayor does it. Ooh, this guy can lie good like me. Ooh, it's so good. By the way, I talked to the gun shop owner who was there while Piers Morgan was openly down there a few weeks ago going, all right, this is how we're going to lie. I mean, they just think we are so stupid. But the point is the mayor's on there with the sheriff of Milwaukee County, the county that the city of Milwaukee's in, and he goes, you can't comment on the guns because your officers, your deputies don't respond to homes and don't respond to crimes. And then he adds, in Milwaukee, knowing most people are so dumb now, they don't know the difference between city and county, and that the two, that in the county they respond to homes. And the sheriff goes, that's ridiculous. Of course we respond to homes. And we respond to things on the edge of the city, to homes. See, they knew full well. But, again, lying to the audience. That's what the mayor was doing. So we're going to talk about that as well. It's all coming up, 800-259-9231.
The Sheriff's Department has jurisdiction over our freeways, over the airport, over the courts. But it's the police officers, not only in the city of Milwaukee, but in the 18 other municipalities that respond to these calls. And to have a sheriff basically imply that it's not going to help you to call 911, I think is irresponsible.
Yeah, I mean, Sheriff, listening to the way that you phrased yourself in that ad, the kind of Hollywood voice you put on, the deep tones, making it all sound terribly exciting and dramatic, it sounded like some kind of John Wayne movie. How on earth does that kind of rhetoric to the American people serve any kind of sensible, rational purpose?
Well, first of all, I object to the Hollywood voice. This is the way I talk. This is my voice, and that ad was recorded at a studio. But let me get back more to your point. First of all, as it relates to the mayor is completely wrong. I'm the top law enforcement agency in Milwaukee County, and we are a full-fledged law enforcement agency, and we respond to everything. But that's not the point, because the citizens could care less. That's Sheriff
David Clarke, who's joining us in the next hour. I want to go to some of your phone calls right now. Then we'll get into Chicago Police Chief. Second Amendment is a danger to public safety. And they have a California police chief. We have a clip at a gun-grabbing meeting, press conference, saying guns are not for self-defense and are never used for self-defense. I said, with FBI statistics, that crime was down 21%. But I was only going from 2007. It's accelerated. Since 1991, FBI.gov, and we've shown these statistics over and over again. In fact, if the guys can find them in the computer, you can throw them up. It's down 49% violent crime, directly relatable to increase in gun ownership. So just amazing to see this type of garbage going on. So that's coming up in the next segment as well. Seth in Louisiana, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, hey Alex, how you doing?
Good, buddy.
I was just wondering if you heard about Philip Marshall. Back on the 6th, he shot his 2 children, his dog, and himself.
Yes, we do know about that, and he was involved in all sorts of black ops and things, and had exposed globalist criminal involvement in 9/11 in a book, and then had a lot of other national security info I don't think they wanted him to leak. And so their favorite way to take you out is to kill your wife and your children, your dog, everybody with you, and then blame it on you posthumously. And I just want to say I will never do that. I would never even enter my mind in a trillion years. I've never even touched my wife. And so it's just a complete, I mean, that isn't even in my universe. But that's one of their favorite ways to do it. There was a state senator in Georgia, great lady. She'd called me a week before and said, we have the bombshell info, the proof, the government documents that they put out, select releases through the federal government of what type of children they want grabbed for the elite through CPS. And so they put bounties out. And she goes, I'm ready to come on in about a week. And I had her on several times. I forget her name. It'll pop in my head in a minute since you mentioned this. And her husband reportedly suicided each other. And then I think there was a fire involved that covers up fingerprints. I mean, just come on. Come on. I mean, if in a million years, folks, I would never do that. My wife wouldn't. It's total bull. The hitman comes in, they shoot you, they kill you. God forbid your kids are there, they kill them, and then they set you up. In the case of the D.C. madam, they wrote a suicide letter. I did what the police wouldn't do. I called the condo manager in Florida, who it turned out had been her friend. She told me about that off air. She lived there for a decade or more. And I said, will you send me her lease? Well, no, I talked to him, and he said, this isn't her handwriting on the news, because it was a scanned copy on the news. He said, that isn't her handwriting. I said, well, send me her lease. And he sent me the lease and then request letters for things when she was out of town, directions about her plants and things for the condo she owned. And she said, guys are following me, I'm getting threats, things like that. And then they murdered her. And she was on my show a month before they killed her. And I said, look, you better either give them all the info back and tell them you're not going to blow the whistle on them. Don't try to, quote, get your good name back. I said, either release it all or destroy it all, or they're going to kill you. And she thought she was going to, you know, parlay that. All those politicians she had, and they killed her. So, yeah, no, I am familiar with the Philip Marshall case. And by the way, former NSA officer who's been on the trail of that. We've given us about a week or so to track it and see what the intel is. We got Wayne Madsen on tomorrow or the next day on the nightly news, maybe even the radio show. Let's just get him on the radio show. Let's just go ahead and get that done. He says it's clearly a hit. At least that was what I got from Dude, who talked to him. But go ahead.
I had one more question. I think it was 26 million bullets that Paul Watson had reported that the DHS had purchased.
Yes.
There's a lot of people online saying that he read the solicitation wrong and that it's actually like 240,000 bullets. I was wondering.
Okay. Government's not arming to the teeth against us. Okay, everything's fine. Everything's wonderful. People online, probably robots. All right, this is how the internet works. The government and corporations have things called sock puppets. They've had them for more than a decade, and it's been admitted the last few years, who are computers that go out and act like people and have preloaded responses to internet memes like, why is the government buying 1.6 billion bullets? Why are there TSA checkpoints? There's radiation in the scanners. The borders are wide open. Vaccines are dangerous. And they just auto-respond. You can also go out and you can pay companies to go spam for you. And they have robots that go out and spam. They call them robots. It's a robot program. But the general public doesn't even know about that, so that's a conspiracy theory. Hell, the sun coming up in the morning might be. Let me explain something. It's more like 1.75 billion. They have had hundreds of purchase orders of 100,000, 200,000, a million, 20 million, 100 million since November 2011. So do the math. That's 15, 16 months. We've been the leading group following this. They just bought another 7,000 full auto weapons, quote, for personal protection last week, and 21.6 more million rounds. And what the media would do last year, when it was up to 1 billion in the middle of last year, is they'd say, okay, Infowars.com is saying Social Security Administration just bought tens of millions of bullets. But don't worry, the conspiracy theorist is wrong. They bought it for security. And you're like, well, how does that make him wrong? Well, it just does. It doesn't even make sense. So it's about 1,750,000,000 bullets. And it's all part of the drones and the checkpoints and the militarization of police and the armored vehicles and the tanks and the urban warfare drills and the black helicopters that you see all over the news. And the government admits it's acclamation to the end of Posse Comitatus, Army times, civilian inmate labor camp programs, the 10 FEMA regions, the 10 FEMA governors, the Rural Affairs Council, run by Department of Defense, Northcom. I mean, it's all official that we're just easing into martial law. Let me punch this up for folks who are watching on TV. If not, just type in Alex Jones DHS, okay? Alex Jones DHS, and hit enter, and click news or search web, and you can see right there the search that I was doing. Why is the Department of Homeland Security buying so many bullets? Associated Press posted on foxnews.com. Okay? All right? And then you go down and it says online rumors about big government munitions purchases are true. Sort of. They never say how it's sort of. The Homeland Security Department wants to buy, they have bought more than 1.6 billion rounds. See, notice they say more because it's now more than that in the next 4 to 5 years. No, they've created the shortage. These are orders for 2011, 2012, 2013. They're taking delivery. So that's the deception right there. Notice they don't link to the Department of Homeland Security purchases. They just say that. It says it needs them roughly the equivalent to 5 bullets for every person in the United States for law enforcement agents in training and on duty. Now, the issue is we've done the math. It's more than 10 times any previous year purchase. It goes on to say published federal notices about the ammo buy have... Why not link to those, Fox? Published, or CNN, or AP for that matter, published federal notices about the ammo buy have agitated conspiracy theorists since the fall. You mean Americans paying attention? That's when conservative radio host Alex Jones spoke of an arms race against the American people. I mean, have you looked around, folks, and said the government was gearing up for total collapse? I mean, they admit they are. They're gearing up for huge wars. The government explanation is much less sinister. And they just then calmly say, we need the rounds for our agents. And then break it down. 450 million there, 40 million there. And it goes, Social Security Administration, 174,000. Jones, the talk show host, did not immediately respond to requests for a comment. Did not immediately. What does that mean? You send an email and didn't respond in 5 seconds? I mean, it's just all... By the way, we did a computer search of AP emails. Didn't find one last week. We did an email search. Doesn't mean they didn't send one. The point is that it is a travesty. So no, let me just tell your friends on the internet, those little sock puppets, sometimes they're real Department of Defense people, that's been admitted. Okay, you're right. The government isn't giving $85 billion a month to foreign banks to bankrupt the country. There's not internal checkpoints. The TSA isn't now running checkpoints up on South Lamar and Austin, even though they are. Autism hasn't gone from 1 in 25,000 to 1 in 58, even though it has. Cancer hasn't gone in the pediatric cancers from 1 in several million to now 1 in a few thousand. Of course, it has, actually. Gas prices haven't gone up because of dollar devaluation. Of course, they have. Stock market, why is it up? Because it's less, dollars are worth less. It takes more dollars to buy it. But everything's fine. My crime is I know how the world works. And you don't know how painful it is. How painful it is. It's painful to hear a caller call in and just go, there's a lot of people on the internet saying, you misread those purchase orders. And that's how the media, I've seen articles they wrote last year. They would say Alex Jones is debunked. It's not 1.2 billion bullets at that time is how many they'd bought. It's only 100 million. And then they would show 100 million purchase order when our articles showed the scores of purchase orders in the year showing it was 1.2. Then in 1.6. Now 1.75. The AP's too lazy to give you the number. They go more than 1.6 billion because they know it's more than 1.6 billion. I mean, is this like Planet Idiot or something? I mean, I don't even know what to do anymore. Okay, there's no bullets. The government loves you, okay? Everything's fine. They didn't burn down Dorner. You heard CNN last hour. I supported Dorner. I never did, but they say I do. It must be true. There's no torture camps. There's no secret arrest. There's no Patriot Act. There's no NDAA. There's no Model States Health Emergency Powers Act for forced inoculation, even though there is. There's no Emergency Centers Establishment Act openly admitting all the FEMA camps. The Marines aren't trained to take your guns, even though I got them on video. Everything's fine, okay? Everything's okay. Everything's just wonderful. Can you cue up Obama saying he wouldn't raise the payroll tax? Can you cue that up? Because you know what? It doesn't matter if you're getting, $25,000 a year, $22,000 a year, $30,000 a year. You're all getting payroll tax increases. It doesn't matter. He said they aren't, so I stand with the government. There is not less money coming out of your check. I heard on the internet there wasn't. How's that? Well, I'm starting to realize the full mental illness here. I could just join people as well and be mentally ill. Yeah, there's no payroll tax increase on working people. Obama said. Do we have that clip?
And I can make a firm pledge under my plan, no family making less than $250,000 a year will see any form of tax increase. Not your income tax, not your payroll tax, not your capital gains taxes, not any of your taxes.
All of it raised. All of it. A 3.8 investment tax on the 401ks that the company pulls out of your paycheck. Just absolutely huge amounts of money making you get government health care. And then what is it? What is it, a $5,000 fine per person uninsured in your family? That's $20,000 a year on average. Doubling of premiums this year. Supreme Court ruled it was a tax. Of course it's a tax. Do you want to keep going with all the taxes here? The carbon taxes via shutting down the power plants? I've got articles in the stack today. Giant Texas power plant held up for 2 years, now officially will never be opened. And that's just one of them. And I'm not mad at the last caller. I get so mad at the system and the wall of lies they've put up. I did not say that the United States launched a meteor or kinetic weapon at Russia. We put out videos and reports saying that it was clearly a stone meteorite and associated with a large meteor cluster in which you could even track on NASA's site were a group of other meteors. Other smaller asteroids. I did not say that. I did not say Dorner was a good guy, but CNN says I do. And they'd have bought 1.75 billion bullets in the last 16 months. Okay? Okay? There are black helicopters running drills to firebomb our houses. I've talked to the pilots, the Night Stalkers, out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. They are training to take your guns. They did in Katrina. They've introduced bills, I counted it up, in 15 states to physically make you turn guns in. Missouri, California, Washington State, New York, on and on and on. They are coming for our guns, but they go, we're not coming for your guns. We're not coming for your guns. It's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. I mean, folks, become an expert on politics and things like you are on baseball or football, and you'll end up not being a slave. I said I'd take calls, and I've gone into a complete rant here. It hurts me. What's that, John? Oh, okay. Oh, man, it really starting to get to me. And to sit there and watch all these liars and dissemblers on CNN and MSNBC competing with each other in these newspapers and things for who can lie the most blatantly. Up there sniveling in their little suits and ties and teleprompters and, oh, man, this is crazy. Let me tell you who the most delusional people are the people lying to folks. Because most people aren't buying it. Let's go to Larry in Montana. Larry, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm totally freaking out right now. I mean, if people don't recognize the tyranny staring them right in the eyes, they're never going to wake up.
You did away with the cigarettes. You need a cigarette.
Yeah, I do.
You know what has me puzzled is I haven't heard a lot of the story about what happened to the daughter of that police officer. But
no, they didn't want to humanize her because this was a real event. If they would have been parading her around and calling for our guns to be turned in, then you know it would have been, look, obviously it was real because it was such a nightmare for them.
The thing with it is, I don't know who witnessed the daughter, but, you know, they have all these older cops, and you can tell by the looks on their face. And, you know, it seems the worst they could pull up, you know, on him was, he looked like a pretty happy guy. He just, you know, I don't know what you can tell from a photo, but, you know, he wasn't your average cop. And he did come to the defense of whoever was being abused at the department. One thing for sure, we're never going to hear the truth about what happened with his daughter other than the police scenario, because there's nobody to argue the point now.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. I'm going to play a clip of a California police chief saying guns are not defensive weapons in a moment, which is 180 degrees the opposite of the truth. Guns are used far more often, the FBI statistics admit this, than they are used aggressively. They're used defensively, far more often defensively. Everybody knows that, but not according to this police chief. And it's Police Chief Ken James. We have that clip? Here it is.
One issue that always boggles my mind is that the idea that a gun is a defensive weapon. That is a myth. A gun is not a defensive weapon. A gun is an offensive weapon used to intimidate and used to show power.
Intimidate you?
Police officers do not carry a gun as a defensive weapon.
Really?
To defend themselves or their other officers. They carry a gun to be able to do their job in a safe
Look at the
and
guy behind
effective
him.
manner.
He's like, this guy's full of
and
baloney.
face any oppositions that we may come upon. If it was a defensive measure, why did we lose 55 officers nationwide last year to gun violence? And unfortunately, in just the 2 months of this year so far, we've lost 2 officers to gun violence in the state of California.
Yeah, this guy
alone.
looks like a giant
we deal with gun
ferret
violence on a daily
groundhog,
basis. We
and then
are
he's got
asking
Urkel
and
back
have been
there
asking
behind him.
for reasonable regulation.
Man, I tell you, these police chiefs, I didn't know they stacked little chicken neck nobodies that high. I mean, you look at these people. I mean, that guy looks like he couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. They're intimidated, see, by citizens with guns. And he's up there with a bunch of fellow gun grabbers calling for restrictions on the Second Amendment. That's what that press conference was for. To blame, hey, the cops were protecting themselves with guns against one of your own people. Amazing. Amazing, Mr. James. Amazing that you behave in that fashion. And imagine with a straight face. Guns are not used defensively. And police officers never use guns defensively. That's like saying, there is no gravity. I am an Easter bunny. Turkeys are the... I mean, it's just like total mindless gibberish. I mean, it's just so pathetic. We're ruled by a bunch of idiots because we bow to them. Oh, you're wearing a uniform with 4 stars on it. Here, have my wife. Here, take my car. Here, let's go to another phone call. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Imagine having that guy as a police chief. Guns are never used defensively. Police do not use guns defensively. Really? Is that why criminals don't like to attack police because they know they're armed? Is that why cops all the time respond to something that's happening and defend people? What in the world are you talking about, you kook? Yeah, tell that to a woman being gang raped in her home. Good point, John. Let's talk to Chris in Nevada. Chris, you're on the air. Go ahead.
How you doing, Alex? I'm like forever listener and love you to death.
Well, thank you for putting up with me. I'm just happy that the government's not corrupt. There's no problems. They're not buying a bunch of bullets. They're not militarizing. There's no military drills. There's no checkpoints. Everything's fine.
No, it isn't. Absolutely not. It's far from fine. We're even getting censored on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. Now Prison Planet and InfoWars articles, or John Rappaport articles about the dangers of prescription drugs, psychotropics, are now banned. And everybody I know is getting messages saying you will not criticize Obama or defend the Second Amendment, and they're banning the Navy SEAL website on Facebook. Oh, yeah, it's total censorship everywhere. But that's okay. And Obama just told Congress he'll ban coal power plants on his own without Congress. He'll create carbon taxes without Congress, and he'll put our military under foreign control without Congress, and he'll do cybersecurity that admittedly gets rid of free speech and spies on us without Congress. But that's okay, too. Everything's okay. Everything's fine.
Terrible.
Go ahead, sir.
Beyond terrible. Yeah,
no, it's wonderful. The government loves us.
I have like 8 computers, and I just happened to have 2 accounts, and I noticed that I was censored. All my tweets weren't going out, and I ended up turning on all 8 computers and all 8 accounts, and none of my tweets went out. None. Because they were all about God bless Alex Jones and this.
Yeah, I've noticed. In fact, I ought to get Christy over here. I haven't been tweeting as much lately because in the last 3 weeks, it won't let me tweet. And then I thought it was a problem, and I found out I can't tweet about gun stuff, and I haven't even made an issue out of that. See, I'm just used to being censored now. Yeah, I noticed a few of the comments up on Infowars.com, probably following off what I said on air, are like, what is it, a slow news day? You know, you're reporting on yourself. CNN says Alex Jones supports Dorner. media says, Jones says U.S. attacks Russia with meteor. We have to respond to that, folks, or they'll destroy us. If we let them sit there and tell bald-faced lies, we get destroyed instead of them getting destroyed. Instead, we counter them. We have a much bigger audience, and then their audience goes down, down, down to nothing. But you've got to finish stomping them into the ground with all the rope they give you. Just because somebody has a bunch of rope and a noose around their neck, you got to take them up and you got to pull the lever. And so I kick the lever and their little necks snap, and it's got to be done. Plus, again, it's an illustration of how they lie. Remember, we have links to this in the article by Paul Joseph Watson. It hit the zeitgeist last year because the radio show's large, but also Drudge serially, that means over and over again. Link to our articles, off federal purchase orders, off FAA announcements, all bibliographed, all sourced, buying hundreds and hundreds of drones, doing drone tests over farmers, surveilling them. And the media came out and said, it's not true, we're not surveilling. And the twist was, because those are drills. See, oh, if it's a test of surveilling farmers with drones, it's okay. No, the real surveillance was done with manned Cessnas, but we are testing drones for that. Oh, well, then there's no drone threat. Well, now Homeland Security has come back out again, and the article is up at Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and also DrudgeReport.com, right in the middle. DHS advances plan for public safety drones, more incarnations of spy technology to undergo testing. So when they surveil you, it's kind of like U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B. It says we can't do any secret testing or lethal testing on the people unless it's for research purposes or law enforcement purposes. Oh, if it's lethal testing or testing for any law enforcement or research, then it's okay. See, it's all these lawyer games. I've videotaped drones. My crew's videotaped drones. The drones are now above Austin, little ones and big ones. The TSA now runs checkpoints 2 miles from where I sit. Told you that was coming 10 years ago. How did I know? They said on C-SPAN, the head of Homeland Security said that was the plan down the road. It goes on here. As we first reported in July of last year, DHS Secretary Mr. Janet Napolitano, told a House committee on Homeland Security that the federal agency was looking at drones that could be utilized to give us situational awareness in large public safety matter or disaster, already done at the Super Bowl, despite the fact that the agency had previously indicated it was reticent to use spy drones to keep tabs on the public. And then it just goes through all the news and announcements, and Fed Biz Ops website put out releases, and DHS 13-01, all the different aircraft and all the rest of it. The point is they already funded it in last year's FAA funding out over the next 5 years, $46 billion. It was in the Washington Post. I mean, but again, they report it like it's good in the Washington Post. I take that and say I think it's a bad idea, and they go, listen, this doesn't exist, okay? This guy supports Dorner anyways, you know. And he says we attacked Russia with the meteorite. Pretty crazy, huh? Of course, I didn't say any of that. But they think you're dumb. And so that's the tactic. As for the caller who we were just talking to, which caller was that, or did he hang up? Oh, he hung up. I said, hold on, sir, I was going to go back to you. Yes, a lot of times people think they're being censored just if YouTube isn't working or Facebook or something. We've confirmed, and others have confirmed, people are getting deleted or suspended or being temporarily, what's the term where they tell you you can't use your Facebook for a month or whatever, for putting out any pro-Second Amendment quotes, criticizing Obama in any way. And it's not a news issue. It's not a news issue that more and more Twitter and Facebook are being censored, or that Facebook just got a giant tax break from Obama. All right, let's continue with your phone calls ahead of Sheriff Clarke of Milwaukee County joining us. And I'm sorry I started ranting earlier. I should have more control. It's just I'm so sick of the New World Order. I'm so sick of everybody being so dumb that they just can't even navigate all these lies. Unprecedented tyranny is upon us. Unprecedented lying is upon us. We're in deep trouble. And some people say, well, that's negative. No, the realization that we're in a lot of trouble is what's going to haul our bacon. Okay, it's time to get out of the trance. It's time to get angry. It's time to get awake. Terry in California, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Pretty darn bad. I mean, it freaks me out that CNN is so evil that they would say that I supported Chris Dorner when all I've done is criticize him, and that the Atlantic Wire would say that I said that the United States attacked Russia with a meteorite when I said nothing about that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I was calling in, so you know how you were saying you're hearing people with $20,000 getting tax increases? Well, I'm working for a big corporation, and we got a letter in, and I'm only making $12,000 a year, and they're telling me my taxes are going up this year. I just wanted to call you and tell all the listeners out there that people who are making only $12,000 a year are getting tax increases also.
Yeah, the way my dad put it, and he's in medical management, so he not just a dentist, he manages a bunch of medical stuff. And he says, my God, it's designed to hurt poor people. And he's really upset because, I mean, it's one thing to know the government's crooks, but, I mean, to really try to hurt poor people while being praised, it just makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, you know, I'm in college trying to, you know, I'm coming from out of state, so I have to pay out-of-state tuition when the illegal immigrants are actually getting free college where I'm at, and I'm paying out-of-state tuition.
No, it's all designed where in most states the illegals get free tuition or in-state, and then they get to have their kids for free, everything paid for. It's all actuaried out where they're just left alone. I've had my finger chopped off at the hospital, and the illegals are just sent right through, no insurance, no nothing. You have insurance, you're trash, and are back of the line. And, you know, again, it's nothing against the illegals themselves. The globalists want them here to drive down wages and to be a voting bloc. But the way I read it, and Forbes and AP even admitted it, people making $22,000 a year more are seeing payroll increases. And it is just devastating. And then under Obamacare, most companies are laying people off from 40 hours a week where they've got to buy you Obamacare to 29 or less where they don't, but you're still penalized and have to buy it. And because insurance companies wrote it, that's why this year premiums on average are doubling. The average person, it's $5,000 a year in premiums, and they estimate now for a family $20,000 a year in insurance. Now, does that sound like a good deal for the average person?
Apparently to them.
Oh, boy. So you make $12,000 a year. I think your corporation, the company you work for, may have sent that out to everybody. You're way below the poverty line, bro, at $12,000 a year. You're like working poor. You can't even, I don't know how you live on that in California. And you should not have a payroll tax increase.
I know. He said that no one would get increases, and I've gone back to that video, and I just laugh about it. You know, it's insane.
Well, wait a minute. He's a Democrat, so it must be okay. No, I know. It's just unbelievable. And again, this is bipartisan. The big insurance companies wrote this. Romney got it passed. It is a screw job on the American people. And again, once corporations can have the Supreme Court ruled it's a tax paid directly to them. Now, we just got him on the line. We're going to break and coming back to him. Sheriff David Clarke of Milwaukee County, who calmly devastated the lives of Piers Morgan and the mayor of Milwaukee. He's coming on for 2 segments at the bottom of the hour with us to talk about why he cut that radio ad saying, look, you need to get guns, get training, and protect yourself. Well, I know why he did that, but we're going to ask him why. And guys, get those FBI statistics, FBI.gov, ready for me, those graphics. I want to show those. 49% drop in violent crime. Well, I've seen a lot of really interesting sheriffs going public for the Second Amendment. It started in Kentucky, spread to Wisconsin, Texas, California. Now it's over 350 sheriffs as of Stuart Rhodes' analysis with Oath Keepers last night, who are elected, I mean, I love how the cities are always trying to get rid of the sheriffs when it's the state and the Constitution that creates the sheriff, and under the state law that creates the counties. And then the municipalities are just sub-corporations within it who have no authority except what they get from the state constitution. So there they are trying to get rid of the sheriffs. That's a whole other issue. And, of course, we've had Sheriff Mack on many, many times who won at the Supreme Court and got so many of the unconstitutional gun laws overturned. But I saw a Piers Morgan interview a few weeks ago. I was already trying to get the sheriff on when he went on Piers Morgan. Sheriff David Clarke, many of you have heard the ad that he ran saying, look, I need you to be on the team here. All over the country, they're having police layoffs, sheriff's department layoffs. Some areas they've laid off more than half. We saw 2 years ago the police department in Oakland or they have draconian gun laws, said we're not going to respond to 35 crimes. Some of them, that dealt with armed robbery and stuff, really bizarre. And then wonder why their crime only exploded. I mean, even if they're going to not respond, surely don't announce it. So the fact that Sheriff David Clarke said, look, you need to go out and get firearms, but more importantly, training. Everyone needs training, and it's available. It's easy. Do not just go buy a gun, folks, and then just think you're protected. Learn how to use it. Because I'm all for the Second Amendment, but you need to learn how to use it so you don't, learn what type of stuff to use in your house. But we'll talk about that after he leaves us. You need flangeable stuff, shearer safety slugs, shotgun shells shooting like number 6, number 7, so you don't kill people on the other side. That's why there's some basic training needed here. And then once you go out and shoot a gun, it demystifies it. Go buy a gun, then go to a shooting range, go pay to have a trainer train you. Learn the basics, learn the safety. And that will promote a Second Amendment culture, a constitutional culture. But I was really impressed when the sheriff was on Piers Morgan, the lies of Piers Morgan and the lies of the mayor, and I'll call Tom Barrett a liar, saying, well, the sheriff's department doesn't respond to crime. And I knew all sheriff's departments do. I mean, in many areas, there's more people living in the county than the city. But I went and just typed in Milwaukee County, hit Google News, and saw articles of sheriffs responding to home invasions, responding to a guy beating his wife and knocking her teeth out, responding to a robbery. It was just a feed of articles. Milwaukee Sheriff's Department responds. Total lie. Going, you can't talk about needing more police, more sheriffs. You don't. So we're going to get into that as well. But first, if you just joined us, we haven't aired this in a few weeks. Here is the little short 30-second radio ad that the sheriff put out saying, hey, let's kick crime in the butt like Kennesaw, Georgia. They said you had to own a gun by law. I don't think that's constitutional, but the Swiss do it. And their crime rate dropped by 89% within 2 years. And, boy, they flipped out. Because if this is real common sense, let's go to that clip.
I'm Sheriff David Clarke, and I want to talk to you about something personal, your safety. It's no longer a spectator sport. I need you in the game. But are you ready? With officers laid off and furloughed, simply calling 911 and waiting is no longer your best option. You can beg for mercy from a violent criminal, hide under the bed, or you can fight back. But are you prepared? Consider taking a certified safety course in handling a firearm so you can defend yourself until we get there. You have a duty to protect yourself and your family. We're partners now. Can I count on you?
This safety message brought to you by the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, and we're going to show you some of the graphics if you're watching on TV. For radio listeners, go to FBI.gov, and people say, well, if you don't believe the government, why would you use theirs? Worldwide, statisticians use these numbers because they've been getting them since J. Edgar Hoover was a filing clerk in the 30s. Their local numbers compiled, cross-referenced, and checked because it's disseminated. Just since 2007, it's a 21% drop. It is a 49% drop since 1991. 49% drop, and we've done countless special reports on that. So that's why I guess the sheriff's saying buy guns, protect yourself. Sheriff David Clarke, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being an example of a real peace officer instead of one of these government types that's there to demonize the Bill of Rights. Thank you for defending the Constitution, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on with you, and it's a pleasure to serve. I'm independently elected, as you indicated, sheriffs are. So we serve the people. I don't report to another bureaucrat or another political official like a police chief. Really works for the mayor. I work for the people. I'm accountable to the people, the voters. And what I've always done since I've been the sheriff, it's been 10 years now, is I give people unvarnished information. I just lay it out for them. Don't sugarcoat it. Say, hey, here's the reality. Here's what's going on, so that people then can take that information and come to their own conclusions and their own decisions about what they should do as it relates to public safety. I believe in empowering citizens to make those decisions. I think that an armed citizen is nothing for me to worry about. What I'm worried about is a felon or another criminal who has demonstrated that they'll use a firearm to commit a crime. I'm more worried about individuals like that.
Let's get into what Piers Morgan wouldn't let you talk about. You kept trying to say why you had said it's time for people to go get firearms training and protect themselves. What's going on in Milwaukee County and in the city itself?
Well, there's been a recent increase, a surge, if you will, and it's not just an anomaly of some street violence where innocent people are getting caught in crossfire, they're getting guns stuck to their heads, their wallets taken, their cars taken, and street robberies, and then we've had homes. There's a rash of burglaries going on in the Milwaukee area, 300 in the month of August alone. And, you know, I looked at that, and I saw that Mayor Barrett was furloughing 1,500 Milwaukee police officers 3 days each for 2013. That means 4,500 fewer officer days to answer 911 calls for service. They're inundated. They're drowning in 911 calls to street cops. It's not the fault of the cops. It's just not given the resources. And then also the county executive, Chris Abley, laid off 48 sheriff's deputies in my office last year, tried to lay off some more before. And so I look at that and I said, you know, there's an emerging situation here that people have always had the right to do. And I talk about in the ad personal security. That's an individual responsibility. I don't get to say how and when a person should defend themselves in these situations, and in the case of their home being broken into, and I refer to it as, you know, when the wolf's at the door, 911 is not going to help you. The ad doesn't say don't call 911. You heard it. It says that might not be your best option. And in many of these instances that I just described, it doesn't. Now, Barrett and Abley, and even Police Chief Ed Flynn, they basically communicated to the law-abiding people of Milwaukee County that you're on your own. We're not going to provide the resources for the police to do everything that they can to create a safe environment. Citizens, you're on your own. We're abandoning you. And I thought, well, this is as fundamental a concept as we have in America, the concept of self-defense. And I thought there's two things that went on over the last 18 months in Wisconsin, where the legislature empowered individuals to deal with these situations, not to go out and police the streets, but in terms of personal security. One is Castle Doctrine, where now if an intruder breaks into your home, you can use force up to and including deadly force to ward off that attack, to protect you, your children, whatever. And the onus is on the criminal now to explain why he was in your house, whereas before Castle Doctrine, you had to explain, the homeowner had to explain why it was reasonable to use deadly force. The other thing is the Personal Protection Act, which allows people to go out and get a permit, and there's a process, and then they can go armed with a concealed weapon. So I'm trying to leverage those two things to get people in these that are stuck in these situations, and that's what it is when somebody comes up and sticks a gun into your back or against your head and demands your wallet or your car. You're in a situation where 911 is not going to help. And I don't tell, if you notice, I don't tell people what to do. I say, here's some things you need to think about, because the time to plan and to decide what your options are is not when the event is happening. It's beforehand. And if that's going to mean that you're going to exercise your Second Amendment right to own and possess and use a firearm, well, you need to think about the training, the safety measures. I mean, anything that is in the hands of the wrong person is dangerous. A chainsaw in the hands of somebody who's never used one, that's dangerous. So I would expect people to read the manual, so on and so forth. And that's what I'm advising, as it comes to firearms.
Well, it's common sense. What would you say to the Chicago police chief who's now come out and said, just ban the Second Amendment? It's the problem. They've taken the guns there. All the criminals then move there and feed on the people. I mean, they've got to know that where you take the guns, it has the highest crime rate. Where you have more guns in the citizens' hands, you have lower crime rate. They're not that stupid, Sheriff Clarke. So what's this really all about then?
Well, this is really about freedom. It's really about liberty, and that's why I mentioned empowering citizens. I trust citizens to make those decisions in their lives, in their personal security, and their personal safety. And apparently, and I didn't hear, in full context what the Chicago chief said, but they're up to their eyeballs in street violence, and they have some of the toughest gun laws known to mankind. And I guess that I would say that is Exhibit A to demonstrate that those things don't work. So what I'm trying to do here is give people advice up front to consider these things, to have a plan in place should that happen to them. And then they got to decide. It's not for me. Like hide. You know, you can hide under the bed. You can beg for mercy from a violent criminal. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. Maybe that's the best thing in that situation, but it's not for me to say. So I want to make sure that the people of Milwaukee County and the 155,000 people who have applied for these personal protection permits, and that was in the first year alone, I want them on my side. And we're going to be partners in this thing. And if you're going to be partners with me, then you have to be prepared. Now, you know, we had an interesting situation several summers ago where the mayor, Tom Barrett, was out without his protective bubble. You know, he gets taxpayer paid for armed security staff, police officers, and he should have that. I don't want to take that away from him, but he lives life in a bubble. And he stepped outside that bubble several summers ago, and he was walking down the street with his family, and he intervened in a domestic dispute. And a guy who was involved in that dispute grabbed a tire iron and beat the mayor mercilessly within inches of his life. I mean, it was a severe beating. And I would like to think, and, you know, 911 didn't help the mayor that day, and he didn't have that protective bubble. But since that happened,
if I was a mayor, guaranteed I'd be wearing a gun on my hip and a fanny pack. I mean, exactly. He's an idiot. I mean, you're going to try to intervene in the most dangerous situation, a domestic event, and you're not going to be armed? I mean, he deserved it almost.
Well, that's how clueless this individual is. And so I would like to think that he'd be a little more sensitive to the plight of everyday Americans and citizens living in the Milwaukee area who have to live with these threats and this violence on a day-to-day basis, and they don't have the bubble of protection that he has. And instead of him being a little more sensitive because he now experienced what real life is like outside that bubble, he still wants to take this availability away from law-abiding citizens, and I think it's ridiculous. I think it's terrible.
It is crazy. And again, I'm sad he got beaten with an inch of his life, but not being armed and then trying to get involved in something dangerous, that's like playing in traffic. And we do see these big urban centers are the only areas where crime is going up, where you don't tend to have people armed just because, I guess, culturally, across racial lines as well, people in big cities, for whatever reason, a lot of times don't think they need guns. I guarantee you, if I lived in a big, dangerous city, I would have guns even more readily at hand. Living out in the country.
Well, as you indicated early on in this conversation, you know, the Constitution, and I tell people, the Second Amendment to me is as sacred as the First Amendment. I think they go hand in hand. And, you know, we've already, and I know they're not absolute. The Second Amendment is not absolute, neither is the First. But we've shaved enough off the Second Amendment with some of these gun control measures, many of them that didn't work, but we've shaved enough. And the essence of the Second Amendment, it says in part, you know, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I think we've infringed enough on law-abiding people to be able to keep and bear arms for whatever reason. I realize that has to do with tyrannical government, but at the same time, the concept of self-defense in this country, the United States of America, is very fundamental. And I want to use that. I'm not afraid of a law-abiding citizen with a handgun. And I'll say it again. I'm afraid of a criminal perpetrator because they've demonstrated time and time again they will use that instrumentality to commit a crime.
Well, what about the mayor's spin that, you know, criminals can get all these handguns? He put up this 40% number. From the statistics I've seen and what you've tried to talk about, that's not a real number.
It's not a real number at all. He knows that President Obama used the same thing in his speech on. And if you notice how they changed the language, they don't call it gun control because they know that doesn't poll well, and that even people who don't own guns don't like the thought of banning everybody from possessing a firearm. But they're using data that's patently false. Now, Tom Barrett went on CNN with Piers Morgan and said 40% of handgun sales in the United States occur without a background check. That is a patent lie. That is patently false. He's using some statistic, some research that was flawed on its face from 1997, where 200 people were polled. There's 300 million people in the United States. It's not even a statistically legitimate sample pool to poll 250 people and come out with something that would stand a plus or minus. You know, they always put in the
Sure, but my argument is this. criminals are always going to get guns. Mexico has a total gun ban, and they have the highest crime rate in the world next to a city like Chicago. It's the highest city, but as a country, Mexico, almost 60,000 deaths. In fact, I think it's over that now in the last 5.5 years. And they've taken the guns. Only the criminals have the guns, and a corrupt government bought off by the criminals. I mean, you know, you take the guns in Chicago, Al Capone's still going to have them. What about this issue? Many sheriffs have said, Sheriff Clarke, that if executive orders come down banning semi-autos or whatever, or in New York, they've banned them. They've banned the clips. They're saying turn them in. They've got bills in Missouri that actually say all semi-autos will be turned in. Democratic Party is crazily behind that. Washington State, same bill. 15 states total. Seriously, if they try to physically take semi-autos, I know a lot of veterans and people that have had enough, and I would not want to be the police or sheriff's department ordered by the feds to try to go get guns. What is your take on the fact that, from a lot of analysts I talk to, think that the Obama Marxist types want to start a civil war in this country? I mean, they've got to know what's going to happen if they try to confiscate guns.
Well, first of all, to me, that would be an act of tyranny. So the people of Milwaukee County do not have to worry about me enforcing some sort of order that goes out and collects everybody's handgun or rifles or any kind of firearm and makes them turn them in. And the reason is I don't want to get shot, because I believe that if somebody tried to enforce something of that magnitude, you would see the second coming of an American Revolution, like the likes of which would make the first revolution pale by comparison. So the people in Milwaukee County don't have to worry about me engaging in that sort of tyranny.
You're absolutely right. This country is primed. People have been abused in so many ways. Obama said they're bitter clingers, their guns, their Bibles. We've been deindustrialized. We've had our future sold out. We've been signed on to the banker's debt. And I'm telling you, certain elements of the feds, not the average Fed, because I've talked to a lot of them, are really pushing and really like the junkyard bully, the junkyard dog, or the schoolyard bully. They really want to get this thing going. And I don't think they realize the restraint of the American people is not out of weakness. It's out of good old-fashioned restraint.
Well, first of all, this doesn't have, as you know, this has nothing to do with violence reduction, because the type of violence that we're talking about, that I see on the street in the Milwaukee area on a daily basis, is not even committed using the weapons that the left is trying to ban. They're not using assault rifles. They're not using high-capacity magazines. They're not buying their ammo over the Internet, and they don't care. The criminals could care less about a background check. So, you know, that tells me that they're disingenuous in what they're trying to do. If they were serious about violence reduction, they would get behind me. I'm talking about the left here in Milwaukee County, and join me arm in arm in calling for longer periods of incarceration for repeat career criminals who have demonstrated over and over again that they're going to get a handgun, they're going to get a firearm, and they're going to perpetrate violence. Now, we had a temple shooting, the Sikh temple, several months ago here. Very tragic situation in a suburb in Milwaukee County of Oak Creek. That individual, Michael Wade Phillips, I believe his name is, he passed a background check. My understanding is the creep in Aurora, Colorado that shot up the theater, he also passed a background check. This isn't about background checks, of which the overwhelming majority of gun transfers, it goes on anyway. Michael Wade Page, I think I mixed the name up. This isn't about reducing violence. This is about attacking the Second Amendment. This is going after the wrong crowd.
Exactly. Let me ask you this question. Why does the government class, the socialist class, why do they want our guns so bad right now? What are they worried about in the future?
Well, you know, I don't want to get way out there and try to guess at what they're getting at, but really, you know, government control cannot go on as long as people have some sort of ability to say, hey, wait just a doggone minute. And as long as that exists, the government, that's what the government fears. They don't really fear the criminal. They support the criminal after they've been arrested. But what they fear is a law-abiding person.
That's right.
Who's going to look. I mean, read the Declaration of Independence. It's right there where law-abiding people say, enough is enough. You're exerting too much influence in our lives. This is tyrannical, and we're going to stop it.
Wow,
That's what they're worried about.
Sheriff David A. Clarke there in Milwaukee. Folks should support him. 5 seconds left. I bet the public loves your stand.
You know, it's received overwhelming support. It really has.
Well, God bless you, sir. Hope to get you to touch base with us in the future again. Thank you so much for the time, Sheriff.
Thanks. God bless you as well.
All right, amazing individual, a true patriot. We need more like him. We'll be right back with your phone calls. Stay with us.
You got a business. That you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
By the way, Sheriff David Clarke talking about the citizens working with the sheriff.
The Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
Only I can interrupt myself. Anyways, people like Sheriff David Clarke Jr. of Milwaukee County, that's not a radical sheriff. We've gotten radical anti-liberty people in everywhere to where someone who is what America is based on looks weird and sounds strange, basically, to the general public when they stand up for what's right. It's, hey, I'm the sheriff, I'm elected, I'm here to try to keep everybody safe, and you're my posse now. Get out there, get firearms, get trained. We can't always respond. It's up to you to protect yourself from criminals. The police have no liability to protect you, folks. They're there to respond, to bring someone to justice, who's the justice? It's the jury. Justice, jury, grand jury, judge, justice. And who are the judges? Who votes? We the people. Either we're the government or we've got a tyranny over us. Now, Obama wants his little FEMA Corps socialist out there with police powers, because all citizens have police powers. All citizens have citizens arrest. I mean, you see somebody robbing your neighbor's garage, you can walk up with a rifle and say, hands up, till the police get there. That's a citizen's arrest power. I mean, it's a citizen's right to defense to kill somebody in your house if you think they're a danger, or in many states if they're trying to take your property. And it's done to restrain evil. Sure, most of the Second Amendment is about tyranny and government. But a big part of it, as Thomas Jefferson said, the presence of firearms restrains evil everywhere they're present. And guns, there's going to be some bad things that happen. Bad people are going to use them. It's an inanimate object. And I know you know that. I know that. We better get the word out to everybody about that. Now, listen, here's an example of what I'm talking about. It's up at prisonplanet.com, Infowars.com. And I found it at drudgereport.com. Let's punch up Drudge for TV viewers. Misstep in gun bill could defeat the effort. See, they'll always go for what they can get. They've banned a bunch of guns and banned their sale and banned high-capacity magazines in New York. They've got bills introduced in Seattle to physically ban guns for Washington State, other states. And it says one of the major gun control efforts in Olympia this session calls for the sheriff to inspect the homes of assault weapons owners. That's all semi-auto. To get you ready for the confiscation, the image of cops coming in your house. The bill's backers say that was a mistake. See, we went for too much. Well, I mean, you got another bill that makes you turn them in. I mean, I covered this Sunday and read. I mean, the Missouri bill says you actually turn them in. So do a bunch of other states. So it's on, ladies and gentlemen. It's on. And, of course, they even spin this. It is an inspection to make sure there aren't any semi-autos in there. So, see, even this article's a whitewash. They're coming for the guns. They're coming for the guns. They don't want the gravy train to end. Forget police drones flying over your house. How about police coming inside once a year to have a look around? Yeah, move to Massachusetts. They already do that. It's all part of a major gun control effort. It seems in recent weeks lawmakers might be headed towards some common sense regulation of guns, see? But then last week they went too far. By mistake, they claim, but still too far. And then it said it got everybody angry, so all the bills will be killed. Yeah, because you're so greedy. Do we have the Feinstein clip? You're so greedy, you've admitted you want to take all our guns. Okay? You've admitted you want to take all of our guns. And now people are waking up to that. Let's go ahead and go to the Feinstein clip. If she said if she could get it, Mr. and Mrs. America turn in all the semi-autos. And then like Australia or England or everywhere else, they'll take them all. Here it is.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein worked for more than a year to get the assault weapons bill passed in the face of ferocious opposition from the National Rifle Association. She says she got the best she could.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
By the way,
could not do that. The votes weren't
there you
clear.
go. The minute they get the votes, they take the guns. Chicago, New York, everywhere else they're in control. But they've got bodyguard details paid for by you. They're never going to stop because they're not liberals. These are authoritarian, lying monsters. And pray for this broadcast right now, ladies and gentlemen, because, again, on a Richter scale, it used to be about a 2, now it's about a 9. The corporate globalist media lying about us. And I mean, they're bold now. I mean, the word is out. Defeat Alex Jones, discredit Alex Jones, bring down Alex Jones. I mean, they're saying Alex likes the cop killer. He supports him, CNN. Alex says America attacked Russia with the meteorite. Alex is lying about the bullets. Alex is a racist. Alex wants to kill cops. Alex wants to blah, 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 blah. Almost like Count Dracula, blah, 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 blah. Obama, Obama, come and be a vampire, suck our blood, raise our taxes. Hear that guy earlier? He makes $12,000 a year, and his employer said they got to take more out for withholding. Now, I got to check on that. I thought it was, I read one article saying $30,000 a year, then I found another. I went and read the law. It's very hard to understand. People... I've confirmed out of $22,000 a year, people are having money taken out. I've confirmed with my crew, running a wide pay scale, they're all getting payroll tax increases. And none of them make $250,000 a year. We got people in the shipping department making $30,000 a year. I think a little bit more than that. We pay people pretty good for shipping. They've got money coming out. I mean, we sit there and look at it. I've got folks paid, double that, bunch of money coming out. People paid more than that, and money's being taken out. So. But that's a conspiracy theorist. If you ever criticize government, it doesn't exist, okay? I mean, again, the government does nothing but make everything happy and the birds tweet. By the way, I've done 2 hours and 40 minutes of radio here, and I've not plugged any products. Most talk show hosts plug every segment. Their products, their books, their materials, their sponsors. And quite frankly, I should be doing the same thing because then I could fund our whole operation. I tend to get so focused on the news, I plug once or twice a day. It should be about 8 times a day. So I can build a better operation, reach out, get more crew, fight the new order, pay the crew better, all those reasons. So remember, InfoWarsStore.com, go there, buy the T-shirts, buy the ball caps, buy the books, the videos. If you already know about all this stuff, fine, buy it and give it to people. Get PrisonPlanet.tv memberships, 11 memberships for $5.95 a month, or get a year membership and get 5 months free, a little more than 5 months technically. I mean, everybody should go do Operation Awaken the Sleeping Giant and get a PrisonPlanet.tv, see the daily show live, the nightly show that's live now, all my documentaries, HD, the books, special live events, PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com, same site. I mean, come on, $5.95 a month. Everyone should commit to go there. And if you support us, you won't have to hear plugs every 5 minutes either. So just go to InfoWarsStore.com, buy the books, buy the videos, buy the Pro Pure water filters, already get the lowest price. Also, it's all great products, the best stuff. Everything I use, everything I've vetted, I believe in, it's all there. It's all there at PrisonPlanet.tv. Create a username and passcode you can share with up to 11 people simultaneously that can watch the news at the same time. I mean, that's amazing. And then give it to, I don't know, give it to like 20 friends and family. I guarantee you 11 aren't going to use it simultaneously. And if you do get locked out because 11 are using it simultaneously, when one gets off, you can get on, go get another membership. My goal is to reach a huge amount of people. And we've done live events where we've had 300,000 people. It was like 315,000 or something. Tune in one day. We're going to do more of those special events. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, prisonplanet.tv, prisonplanet.tv. We've now got in pink, the Come and Take It best-selling shirt with the Second Amendment inside, the AK-47 with the Texas Come and Take It. It's just going mega viral. We've got the Obama Tyrant Joker shirt, a new design back, limited edition. The InfoWars Army style, Oathkeeper style. It's all there, InfoWarsShop.com, InfoWarsStore.com. Same place, take you to the same place. 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. So see, I don't do any plugging, then I kind of overkill it. I'm going to go to your calls here in just a moment. Just listen. Let me show people this, okay? Let me show people this. See, I'm freaked out, folks. I realize if we don't beat this, I'm dead. You understand that? I mean, this is real. This isn't a drill. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. I'm a high IQ redneck who doesn't want to be a slave here desperately trying to warn you as hard as I can about how much danger we're in. Okay? I mean, that's what's going on there. This is real. This isn't average media buffoonery or preening peacock behavior. This is the real deal. Tyranny come to our shores. Are we going to beat this or not? We can turn this whole thing around on them. Listen, I sell the best health products out there. They're all in one spot, a catalog at InfoWarsHealth.com, the toll-free number there. The crew can answer your questions when you call those numbers that are there at InfoWarsHealth.com. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the stuff that's in the Healthy Start Pack that they now have in vitamin form, not just liquid. New Clemson study, go read it. Announces results of longevity clinical research studies performed by Clemson University Institute of Nutraceutical Research with healthy colon cells and cancerous colon cells. Zero toxic effect. Zero on healthy cells. Kills 95% of cancerous colon cells. It just goes on through the incredible numbers. Go look at this study, linked up at InfoWarsHealth.com. That's InfoWarsHealth.com, and the videos that are right there on the site. This is what Linus Pauling got a Nobel Prize for, what, in 65 or 64? But, I mean, this is just such incredibly important information. This is the real deal. I went out and I said, you know what? Every show promotes some type of products that are health products. And that's great because it's important to do and help people. But I went out and found the very best. InfoWarsHealth.com. And again, the toll-free numbers are up there. In fact, will you punch it up so I can give people the toll-free number? Here it is. Call the InfoWars team product order line. They can answer your questions, 877-551-1301. And when you buy your longevity products from us, you can get free shipping signing up there on InfoWarsHealth.com. When you sign up for auto shipping, you can also sign up as a distributor and get discounts. 877-551-1301, 877-551-1301. Or you can also call the InfoWars product order line as well. There's two different numbers, InfoWars Health and InfoWars Team, 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277. Okay, let's go ahead now and go back to your calls. Arthur in Oregon, thank you for putting up with me. You're on the air.
Hello, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
I think that you're totally right that we are the masters and that these elitists are our servants. They're like this skinny dog. And what people need to do is just realize that that's the truth and then draw the power from that and realize that we already are the masters and we already are empowered.
Yeah, everything government does is about pecking us, henpecking us into submission and teaching us how we're bad and they're good. And that is the opposite of what this country was founded on. And so great, if people want bondage and they like Obama lying to them and raising their taxes on poor people and the big banks that own the insurance companies, absolutely. Folks, I can't believe how bad Obamacare was. I mean, I read the bills. I had experts on. I knew how bad it was, but now it's worse than I thought. I mean, it's so horrible, and it's meant to bankrupt the country. And it's just so evil. And then I read, you know, the owner of Paul Mitchell, who's a nice guy. I know people that know him. He lives here in Austin. You know, saying things like, oh, Obama, you know, he just doesn't understand raising taxes hurts poor people. I hope he wakes up. Wakes up. They want us under their control. We're being conquered. This is economic scorched earth.
You're absolutely right. And I think that living a healthy lifestyle is going to allow people to just wake up and realize that we can do this and that no one has a solution, but we all have a resolution, and that's just to be able to live peacefully. And they're absolutely trying to usurp and stop us.
Absolutely, brother. God bless you. I appreciate your call. What'd you think of that sheriff? You still there?
Yeah, that was righteous. That was really good stuff. I think.
But the thing is, when you talk to good sheriffs or police, they're well-spoken, they're focused, they just look different. A patriot looks different than one of these anti-gunners. These anti-gunners all look like chicken-neck criminals. They look like bad guys out of a movie, like Wormer Grimewood out of Lord of the Rings or something. I mean, they look like textbook scumbags. Speaking of that, here I'm having my Beyond Tangy Tangerine, not product placement. Here I am having my essential fatty acids from InfoWarsHealth.com. Let's go ahead and thank you, Arthur, for the call. Let's talk to Stephen in Florida. You're on the air.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, man, I just want to tell you I'm honored to be on the show. I've been a fan for the last year since you exploded from the 2 to the 9, like you were saying. I think it's awful the way they're treating you in the media, man. You deserve so much better.
No, but this is great news. Listen. They're doing it because we're hurting them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm not whining about this because, they're attacking me. I'm doing it to discredit them because if I just take it, then they win. This is great. Listen, what did they say in World War II when you got over the actual target? They would have all these smokers miles away with the prevailing winds and you couldn't see the bomb targets. That's where they had, GPS or ground penetrating or, radar to see the targets. They would know where the targets were by flying into the flak cloud. So when you're over the flak, man, that means you're over the target, brother.
But they're still not hitting you. They're missing. Like you said.
I don't know. They've hit me quite a few times, but I don't care. But go ahead.
Well, I found that, the lies are an automated arm of their rhetorical engine. This is a newly accepted thing, I think, in mass media. People, they fall into this binary between fantasy and reality that just, it's endless, and it doesn't matter anymore.
No, that's it. The system has blurred reality with fiction, and for the crowd that's in a trance, CNN lies work. I mean, if they say, I support Dorner, doesn't matter if I was against him from day one, they don't show any proof, it must be true. And then they giggle as friends of CNN. They don't have real friends. They just sit in their house watching CNN, and it reaffirms their delusion.
Mike, I don't expect anything more from literal demons, and that is why I've sworn off mainstream media. I didn't even know they were saying this about you because I don't listen to it. And just hearing it come
Sir, it's pell-mell. I lied about the bullets. I said the U.S. attacked Russia with a meteor. Never said any such thing. I love Dorner. I mean, it's desperate. I was defeated by Piers Morgan. It discredits gun owners. Bull. We're calling you out as the Red Coat New World Order usurpers. I mean, Paul Revere said, get guns and kill people. And, imagine if Paul Revere was around today. All I'm getting in somebody's face. And some of these knock-kneed conservatives are like, he doesn't speak for us. Exactly. I don't speak for you. You're the ones that have helped hand us over to the New World Order. You don't speak for me. Well, DA-14, the closest asteroid ever to cross by the Earth since they've been recording that in the last 60 or so years, did not leave without a bang. There were quite a few big meteor showers all over the world seen, from Australia to Florida, from Cuba to California. And there's still more meteors. Fireballs light up Florida sky. That came out this morning, NBC News. And as I said, normally when an asteroid like that comes around, a lot of times it has stragglers with it, because when it's kicked out of the Kuiper belt, outside the edge of the solar system or closer in the asteroid belt, whatever comet or whatever comes by and knocks them out of the regular orbit generally knocks some other stuff with them. And so that's why you've seen the big stone meteors coming in. Of course, it doesn't matter what I just said. CNN and Atlantic Wire will just say that I said aliens did it or something. But there you go. Yeah, there's some footage of one of the giant burning craters. Man, that looks like something out of a movie. Whoa. Man, is that not awesome looking? Oh, my gosh. Look at that video of that crater. I hadn't seen that one yet. Is that out of Russia? Wow. Unbelievable. And that thing blew up. That was just one piece of it did that. Wow. Wow, no wonder that injured over 1,000 people. I think they said like 1,200 now. It's like something out of a science fiction movie, man. Whoa. I had all this other news. We got to a lot of it. I'm going to shoot some special reports that are going to be on the nightly news tonight. On the financial end of it, there's a global currency war going on, the G20's meeting to act like they're trying to fix it. The war is everybody lowering their currency, which means devaluing it. And you know, that's why gas prices are exploding. It's the biggest contributive cause. That's why real estate prices have gone back up, and now they're calling it another bubble with more subprime stuff. And it's a fake economy. And even Ellen Greenspan, you know, is on the news saying, oh, we're going over the edge of the cliff Friday. When the globalists engineered all this, globalism is death to an economy. It's poison. And it's time to be honest about this post-industrial world that we're going into. I'm going to do some overdrive here in a moment. JD in California, local sheriff refuses to respond. It's what you say. Well, what happened to you?
Yeah, I was trying to get a take. I've been hearing all these sheriffs, you know, coming out and making public statements about where they stand on the Second Amendment. And so I've been trying to contact my local sheriff, and over again, I've been, you know, sending them emails and handwritten letters, and they refuse to comment on it. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, at least you tried. Over 300 sheriffs now say they won't be part of a gun confiscation. I mean, already 800-plus cities don't arrest illegal aliens, which is constitutional to do. So why couldn't they ignore something that is constitutional? I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, that's why it makes me mad when I get pulled over sometimes and the cop knows who I am and asks about guns. It's just like, it's Texas. You know I don't have a criminal record. You just pulled me over. Don't ask about my guns, buddy. And they're not all like that, but I get really angry. You know, stop acting like I'm a perpetrator. Stop acting, you know, you want to peck me into submission so that I feel guilty and like a criminal so you can be my slave master. I mean, that's all this comes down to.
Another thing I wanted to tell you about, I got family that's in special forces, and I just wanted to tell you about, you know, the real elitism in Obama's attitude. Someone in my family, special forces, and him and his unit received a medal from Obama for an achievement they got. And he said that Obama refused to look any of them in the eyes, that he would look them in the shoulder, like would refuse to make eye contact with them, like they were beneath him. And that he had a dead fish handshake. You know, there was no muscle, nothing to it, you know.
Yeah, I've been told some pretty weird stories on people that know Obama, but I'm not going to, I don't have authorization to tell those stories on the air. All right, jamming in some more calls. Mike in Wisconsin, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex. Good finally talking to you. First time caller. I'm a CCW card holder in Wisconsin, concealed carry permit.
Sure.
And just want to call and, thank Sheriff Clarke and you for standing your ground.
Isn't he a great guy? I mean, he's just normal, reasonable, pro-America, pro-freedom person. Wouldn't it be great to have more people like him in government?
And that's basically what I'm calling is we need somebody like him to run for governor for Wisconsin. He comes across as being, like I said, he's honorable.
He comes across as smart and smooth and a constitutionalist. That's exactly what you need.
Yeah, he's honest. And, the people have his back because the Constitution has ours. If you can't get in as a governor, you can always, push, maybe put together the old sheriff's posse again. Have people that train with CCWs volunteer. Because where I'm in Wisconsin, it's all volunteer, like fire departments or anything. Everybody volunteers their time, and they're proud of it.
Aren't volunteer firefighters great people? I know so many of them, and they're the type of neighbors you can just ask them to help you do anything. They're all excited about it and love doing it, and they just love going out, and they get killed all the time working for free to try to help people out. And then when we had a big fires out in Bastrop, mainly because the feds wouldn't let anybody cut some deadwood and some forest, and we had a drought, and they would keep the volunteer fire departments, most of them, from being able to go out there and help people. And FEMA said, you're not real firefighters. Even though they drive the trucks and fight the fires and everything, it's just unbelievable. Because, see, they don't want real volunteerism. They want fake federal volunteerism.
Exactly. They don't want people being responsible for themselves and their communities. Alex, forget what the mainstream media says about you. You've been right about everything. I've been listening for 3 4 years, I actually got turned on to you by Glenn Beck mentioning you. And I'm like, who's this Alex Jones guy? You know,
was it a nice thing Glenn Beck said?
No, it happened to be, I think, with the FEMA stuff, with FEMA camps.
Oh, saying those don't exist? Oh, man, yeah.
Because I started listening to you, and then he got onto you that, but he had mentioned you before. And like I said, the more they mention you in the mainstream media, and the more people see that this is like a false reality that's being projected on them, you know, maybe...
Well, that's what's a bummer about Glenn. I mean, the fact that they're training for civil unrest, it's in the Army Times, and that they've got the Emergency Centers Act. I mean, I sent Glenn all that stuff, is what made me mad, and my listeners did, because he hyped for a month he was going to... We exposed all that in Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. And then he got up there and used fake FEMA camps to then discredit everything. And I even predicted that. I don't want to get into a Glenn Beck bashing fest, but thank you so much, Mike. Glad you tuned in. Yeah, we're not right about everything, but we try to be right. I mean, we try to be accurate, and that's a big difference. I get names wrong. I get things backwards sometimes. We all do that. You know, sometimes I step off the front porch and fall flat on my face. We were filming something in there the other day, and I just spilled. I think it's on camera. We were shooting a video in there, and I got up to do something and just fell right over dude. Was walking. I tripped over his back leg. I think that's on tape. It's going to be pretty funny because I went flying across the floor. I mean, we all make mistakes. The difference is I'm not trying to lie to you, okay? You've got my word, my commitment. I'm trying to really tell you what I believe to be the truth. But we're all fallible. Rob and Mass, last caller, got about 45 seconds.
Hello?
Hey, buddy, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? I'm over here in Springfield, Massachusetts, and it's one of the largest cities in New England. We had a pretty devastating tornado that came down right here in Main Street. And, you know, I had heard about some things about Bill Gates doing weather modification and things in that.
Yeah, no, he funds billions in it, yeah.
The area that was devastated, there's some pretty big corporate interest that's being pushed. They want to put some casinos and things like that in there.
Yeah, I noticed they've been saying, and they're not going to let people rebuild. Only big corporations can. That's a telltale sign. But, you know, there's naturally bad weather. But Al Gore says, you know, bad weather's a reason to pay him carbon taxes. I'm sorry I'm out of time. Retransmission is coming up now with the audio streams at Infowars.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the free podcast. Austerity's a good thing, except for them. And it's so frustrating that they'll sit there on CNN and say Dorner's a superhero because he's an anti-gun person and an Obama supporter, and then they'll spin it back around the next day. This is Friday, and Watson just found the clip. It's going up at Infowars.com, and it really freaks me out. Not that they're even going after me. The fact that they're trying to discredit me right now, first they ignore you, then they attack you, then you win. Of course, that's sometimes. First they ignore you, then they attack you, then they assassinate you. They're trying to assassinate my character, and if that doesn't work, folks, they will set me up. But don't think I lose in that, okay? I win by engaging the enemy. But just understand, these are dirtbags, okay? These are people who work for foreign mega banks who want to destroy this country and our future and disarm you and take your pension funds. And by the way, that's being announced now. And they are sitting there cold-bloodedly put on these shows because they will make outlandish statements like I support and am helping Chris Dorner kill people. I'm going to play that clip coming up. That's how stupid they think you are. And let me tell you something. The media whores, the globalist prostitutes over at CNN, let me explain something to you. Your butt's hanging out in clear view of everybody, okay? This show that did this has a couple 100,000 viewers, a literal shadow of its former self, because only the dumbest of the dumb are watching you and believing you. And I guess that's why you've tailored it down to them, saying Alex Jones is helping Chris Dorner. Alex Jones is creating a climate like this. This guy was a statist, out of control Obama worshiper, and you say I spawned him? We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. The establishment media always likes to phrase socialist and collectivist as the renegades, but in truth, the mega rich in the last 150 years have always funded, on record, the socialists to be the renegades, to collectivize wealth, to make sure there's a big centralized government that can easily be bought off and controlled. Generally because the globalists finance the revolution, and then if the centralized government doesn't play ball, they can simply pay off officers of the system under that dictator to take them out. And that's why the globalists favor a centralized authoritarian system. And that's what Carroll Quigley wrote in his seminal 1,100-plus page book, Tragedy and Hope, while at Georgetown working for the Council on Foreign Relations and the Bilderberg Group. By the way, we sell the book at InfoWarsShop.com if you're a reader and actually want to read how things work, how their plan was to make the left and right look different each election, but in the outcome there'd be very little difference, so they own both candidates. Okay, let's stop right there. If you notice up at DrudgeReport.com right now, it talks about massive increases in the price of gas in the last 32 days. It's been rising straight, 51 cents on average nationally, 2 months in a row. And the question is, why is this happening? The dollar is being devalued. That's why 15 years ago, fuel was, what, less than $1 a gallon. And now, on average, it's almost $4. Some areas, it's as much as $5.99. If you also look at DrudgeReport.com, everybody's favorite news site, right in the middle column, red linked, Homeland Security advances plan for public safety drones. And that is one of our top stories I'm going to get to after media demonization in the next segment. And it's simply Paul Watson writing about Homeland Security announcing what we wrote about a year ago. Was it actually back in February of last year? We shoot another story on this. We wrote about Homeland Security announcing the plan to launch 30,000 drones in the FAA, $46 billion of funding by the year 2020, phasing them in starting in 2013, and how they were already using drones to arrest cattle rustlers in North Dakota and using drones to surveil coal power plants and other things. And so we wrote an article, Kurt Nimmo wrote an article, so did Paul, and the media came out and said, there is no drones, there are no drones, Alex Jones is insane. Of course, it's always Alex Jones is insane. Or Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist making this up. It was Kurt Nimmo and Paul Watson just writing off the Federal Register and announcements. I mean, that's where we go get the news. Okay, let's go see how many more 100 million bullets they bought. Okay, they bought another 100 million 2 days ago. We missed that. We'll write an article. You know, I mean, this is not rocket science. And then they come out and say it doesn't exist. And the reason I'm covering this is on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe 5-6 years ago, it was about a 2. Now the attacks are at about a 9. Every day, what they call the mainstream news, the media whores reading off teleprompters, get more crazy. And I predicted this last week. I said, they will blame us for Dorner somehow, and they will say that we are conspiracy theorists, just using that term. That we are conspiracy theorists for saying that the police said, burn that mother effer down, burn that house down. Okay, we placed the burners. Okay, they're on fire. We have a fire. Good, mission completed. Those are quotes. Mission completed. Okay, we have the burners. We placed them. We've ignited them. They're on fire. We have fire. There is a fire. The walls are collapsing. Mission accomplished. That's the full quote. Mike Adams had an article over the weekend at naturalnews.com saying, how do you know if you're in a trance or not? And it's a test. You watch this video, you hear them say all this, 6 different videos now saying similar things, and the media tells you you didn't just hear them burn it down. I mean, this has reached total, complete delusional levels. And sure enough, they've come out and said they didn't burn it down and that I made it up, and that aids Dorner. We're going to play that clip coming back in the next segment. And then we'll get into all the other news. But this is the type of over-the-top bizarreness that we're talking about. And the thing is, it's getting worse. And people that are acclimated and have gotten where they accept it, they'll buy anything now. They'll go along with anything. It's incredible. I mean, it's like telling a 3-year-old Santa Claus exists and they believe it because they trust you. But you see, there's less and less people that trust CNN and MSNBC, which are absolute merchants of deception. And they think you're idiots. We're going to play those clips when we come back. Stay with us. All right, Alex Jones here, back live. Thank you for joining us. So Lauren Ashburn of the Daily Beast is on CNN, and she says, well, you know what? And you know, the problem here is what's backing up and making Dorner a hero is not CNN. 2 days before, on Wednesday, this was Friday, one of their pundits saying, you know, the guy's turning into a hero. We're going to play that clip in a moment. No, this woman from the Daily Beast, where Buzz Bissinger comes from, I guess that's a division of Newsweek, isn't it? Yeah, and he's over at BuzzFeed. He contributes to them, saying I should be shot on Piers Morgan. And then the daughter of Ambassador Huntsman agrees and says, ooh, Piers, you can wear a uniform, baby. And he's like, ooh, yeah, I will. I mean, what a bunch of weirdos. Somebody says, we ought to shoot Alex Jones. Yeah. You could wear a uniform, Piers. Yeah, I could. I mean, what weirdo. Who has that on the top of their mind? Yeah, you could wear it. See, they get off on the power of the state, putting on the power of the state. These are statists. These are sickos. The last thing, if I was talking about killing somebody, I'd do is A, talk about killing somebody, and B, I wouldn't say, I'll wear a uniform to do it. If I'm going to kill somebody, I don't wear the uniform of righteousness and self-defense, and it's not something that I'm happy I have to do. But I will do it with as much proficiency as I can, and I certainly am not going to talk about it, Buzz Bissinger, but that's because you don't have the will to kill people. You want the police and military to go out and bring in your tyranny and do it for you, the useful idiot of the New World Order. You better hope the New World Order doesn't come in, you little Prozac head. He admits he's on a bunch of psychotropics and says he's mentally ill now to defend himself why he wanted to be killed. See, he's so crazy, he doesn't want anybody else to have guns because he's so neurotic and weird, he doesn't have any control. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. So I've got AP, I've got Atlantic Wire, I'm a conspiracy theorist about the bullets. Not that they're buying them, I'm just still bad to be worried about it. The arms buildup. And I said that the U.S. attacked Russia. I didn't say that. I said that that was a conspiracy theory and made up, and it looked like a stone meteorite to me. We wrote articles clearly debunking it. Doesn't matter, just say we did it. Continuing, we've got CNN saying I supported Dorner. And I'm helping make him a folk hero. We're going to play that in a minute. While they're the ones 2 days before actually saying that. And the guy is an Obama supporter on record who believes only the government should have guns, but he's out kidnapping and killing people. And the problem is we'll never know if that's 100% true, even though it looks like it's a real story, because who would come up with something like that discredits the system? You can tell when something's scripted. They have the script day one. This script was all over the place. A lot of other points, but they burned him on average has about 108,000 viewers. Their top shows, on average, have about 500,000, like Piers Morgan, just because of the time slot it's in. Just about 12, 13, 14 years ago, you can look it up, Larry King had 10 million viewers on many nights. 10 million. 10 million viewers. And now they have 500,000. And so just keep it up, guys. Keep it up saying Alex Jones supports Dorner. We're going to play that clip. Alex Jones says the U.S. attacked Russia with a meteorite or some kind of kinetic weapon. Never said that. Said the Russian government, some of their members of their parliament were saying it, of their Duma, and I thought it was not true, and I thought it was a piece of a stone meteorite. And more pieces have come in over Florida, California, Cuba. I guess that's the same chunk they saw in southern Florida, and a bunch of other places. And now California. Did I already say California? And I predicted you'd have spurs around it because that's standard for a big asteroid. And I said, I believe this is all natural and normal. And I'm clear, and no one in my staff wrote an article. No one in the crew wrote an article saying it was a conspiracy theory. We wrote articles picked up by drudgereport.com, which then got picked up by the site Zeit, because it was one of the top stories in the country that day. They follow trends. And CNN actually linked to it and then demonized it and said, look, Alex Jones, that's another CNN I forgot. I saw that clip last night. I forgot to even send it to the guys. I can't even keep track of this anymore. I mean, it's MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, Fox News demonizing yours truly. saying things about us that aren't true. Now, I've got all this world news, how the mega banks are engineering the collapse, how we can get out of this, how Obamacare is meant to bankrupt people, how the payroll taxes have gone up on the poor, how Obama broke his promises, how he wouldn't raise our payroll taxes, on and on and on. All of this is going on. And it really freaks me out. I'm going to be honest with you, that I'm just here who's studied history, studied the globalists, read their own publications. I know their plan. It's public. They operate like you don't exist, and they put it all in publications, but they're all thick, lengthy Foreign Affairs and Club of Rome and Princeton and MIT and Davos papers, EU papers, British Ministry of Defense papers, Pentagon papers, Rand Corporation papers, and I read this stuff, and it's just all public. How they put poison in the water, how they put it in the food, how they want to feminize men, how they're giving us cancer, how they're going to break up the family, how they're going to have 3 mega regions. And I just can't take it anymore. I mean, it really gets to me, folks. And I get really stressed out because I have all these brainstorms, and I want to get up here on air and warn you. And then I get up here and I spend most of my time, I'm not complaining, it's the nature of it, just trying to run my operation and manage everything. And I got a great crew who puts up with my crap. And it's just so real for me. Okay? I mean, I can't go to a place and eat, chicken wings and drink beer and have a good time anymore, most of the time. I can't unplug from this because I know there's a scientific technocracy that's published thousands of times what they're doing to me and you. And I read stuff they wrote 100 years ago and 50 years ago and 20 years ago and 5 years ago and a week ago, all admitting what they're doing to us. And it's a fact. It isn't my opinion. And they think you're so stupid. Maybe they know something I don't know. I don't think you're that dumb that they get up there and say, we said the meteor was the U.S. government. And we made up 1.6 billion bullets, but I told the truth. He's a kook, but it's true, but it's a kook. And I'm saying Dorner's a hero. I mean, this is sick. This is sick. And what's happened is people wonder how Nazi Germany could get so crazy, or how Soviet Russia could get so crazy, or Maoist China, or Pol Pot's Cambodia. And it's done by increments, what we'll put up with. The corrupt, the insane, the out of control get us to put up with more and more. And now they're like, yeah, we torture people. Yeah, we'll secretly arrest you. Yeah, we're running checkpoints. Yeah, we're going to legalize all the illegals. Yeah, we give $85 billion a month in just one form of payment to foreign banks who then just destroy the money. They're not even paying off their debts. They just want to hurt us. And they just take the money and then disappear it. It's not even used to prop up their own derivatives. That's already been written off by them. And they want to make us poor. And here's where they said it. And, Maurice Strong, A Post-Industrial World, Al Gore, CNN, depression is good for the earth because it lowers the carbon footprint. It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday, the 18th day of February 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones, and we are going to be here today, as we are every weekday, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. I am your host, Alex Jones. And our country is being swallowed and colonized by private, fraudulent, Ponzi scheme manipulating systems that are carrying out massive fraud against the American people and the people of the world. And and they are establishing a classical police state with an overlay of high-tech control. They're announcing drones to surveil everyone, checkpoints on the highways, billions of bullets, warrantless wiretapping that they denied is now open, secret arrest of citizens, that torture is good, that foreign military runs the Pentagon. Just unbelievable, off-the-chart type stuff is being thrown in our face. And at the same time, the establishment, collaborator, globalist media is running around claiming that none of this is happening, or if it is happening, we're discredited for not liking it. Now, remember, while all of this was being set up, the establishment said none of it was actually happening. Now that it's all being rolled out against us, they're saying it's happening, but that it is a good thing. Now, you'll remember last week a CNN panel said Dorner's alleged murder spree was exciting like a Denzel Washington movie. And on a CNN show called Reliable Sources that routinely attacks yours truly, with the main head of the program being Howard Kurtz, the so-called reporter, we're going to play several clips today of these guys. They say that I have legitimized Dorner as a killer. Now, you know I have been critical of Dorner from day one, and you know this is 180 degrees of what I've actually said. We're going to play this clip coming up. And then I'm going to play CNN on one of their panel shows, one of their pundits, actually saying that Dorner's like a superhero, exciting like a Denzel Washington movie. Those are quotes. So they go out and say this and then blame yours truly. And it's the same thing with a whole bunch of publications, not just Atlantic Wire, saying that Infowars.com and Alex Jones said that the United States attacked Russia with kinetic weapons when DA-14 came by, and I believe some of the spurs of the stone meteorite came into the atmosphere. We said the opposite and wrote articles and did video reports saying that it was a hoax. And then it turns out that major publications came out and said that we said the opposite of what we said. There was an AP article, Saturday, that ran in newspapers all over the country and was picked up by Fox News, CNN, you name it, all reported on it, saying that I basically made up 1.6 billion bullets. And they say, well, the conspiracy theorist says this. It's true, sort of, but not really. And then never say I'm wrong or never give the proof. Just list the 1.6+ billion bullets, but just say it's no big deal. Oh, man, that guy got caught lying. You know, he said he saw a red Volkswagen parked in his driveway, and there's the red Volkswagen. Isn't he discredited? You're like, well, but the red Volkswagen is parked there. I know, isn't he discredited? You know, that Alex, he said the sun would come up this morning, and did you see it came up? Man, he's really discredited. I mean, their propaganda has now reached cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs level. I don't even get it. It's so bad. And that's why CNN live and said they'd burn him. And so I'm aiding him because my lying ears and lying eyes saw them and heard them say they burn it down. See, common sense is the enemy. It's like Rod Serling wrote that Twilight Zone episode, The Obsolete Man. And they call him in, and the guy's a librarian. They're getting rid of books. That's what... And getting rid of knowledge. That's what centralized systems always do in their final phase, is logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. And that's what Rod Serling wrote. And it's true. I remember watching The Obsolete Man when I was a little kid in Dallas. You know, they had reruns on TV. And it's, you know, Rod Serling fought in World War II. He was a commando. And he was a patriot. He was anti-tyrant. Now I've gone back and pulled up old news articles with Rod Serling criticizing tyranny in the U.S., just a great guy before he died of lung cancer. And, you know, he saw coming 1,000,000 miles away what I saw 1,000 miles away. What I saw 20 years ago and got involved politically and got on air 17 years ago in 1995, now I guess a little more than 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago. Rod Serling saw it 1,000,000 miles away, but I guess not really, because he'd been in the middle of it and experienced it in Europe, like my grandfather did. And Then I saw the tyranny 1,000 miles away, and now the tyranny is in our living room. And it's sitting on us. And people are like, well, I can learn to let it sit on me. Folks, it's not going to sit on you forever. It's going to eat you like a cave troll eats a hobbit. Like a piece of mutton. We've got to get these people back in the box. We've got to get control of the situation. We've got to get them to back down and back off. Because I'm here to tell you, I've studied tyrants, I've studied history. They're not going to make it. They're not going to get this done the way they want. Okay? 9 times out of 10, tyrannies end up taking over, but then wanting to dominate everything. The same control freak instinct that got them into power is what undoes them. Because now they're in power, they should just sit back and lay back. But see, they don't want to do that. They want control of everything. They want to impoverish people because it makes them feel good. They don't want the wealth just to be comfortable and to be able to do cool things and create things and help others and see their ideas manifest. That's what's fun about wealth. If you're a good person, they use wealth as a tool of control, and they don't like seeing you having it. Intellectual wealth, physical health wealth, spiritual wealth, sexual wealth. They don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like it. Sleeping Beauty, the evil queen, the witch queen up on the mountaintops, got her own palace, her own servants, but she's unhappy, and she doesn't like watching the little happy kingdom down the hill in the valley with all the happy people and all the good things. It sounds like nails on a chalkboard to her. And so she comes down there to sow poison and to sow pain and to put the spirit of liberty and the spirit of ingenuity and the spirit of renewal into a deep sleep. But it takes a prince who's willing to ride into the dark forest and face the dangers to kiss beauty, to kiss liberty, and to reaffirm the covenant and to release the spirit of creation. God is there waiting, but God is not like the destroyer, the devil, the deceiver. God gives us free will. We have to choose. We have to choose to hear the voice. And then we have to go on the quest. See, all the children's fables and parables are actually allegories to real life. You must first conquer yourself, and then you must conquer the New World Order. The entire Bible, but all cultural history is about the individual who is good, not wanting to stand up, not wanting power, but having to stand up and having to take power from the evil to defeat it. And that's where we stand. We've got to get up off the couch, get off the porch, move over, little dog, the big dog's coming to town. In fact, we have that Hank Williams song somewhere. Can we come back out of the next break playing Move Over, Little Dog, Big Dog? I forget the name of the actual song. We've actually got it in the computer. But we have to realize we're the big dog, and we have to act like the big dog, because the little dog knows he's the little dog, and he doesn't like a big dog. And you're like, well, I'll let the little dog run things. Little dog don't want you to just sit there. Little dog wants you dead. Little dog wants to run you off a cliff. Little dog isn't going to sit there looking at you much better than him. Little dog wants you